What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That is your girl Adara right there, and I'm Sharif. And we're going to wait for everyone to come on over from the other chat or the other stream. MB3 joining us today. What's up? My name is Sharif, not Stash. MB3. Peter, Nate, Easy Trader, Callum, Mitchell Miller, Hamster One, Oscarito, and Timon Sebastian as well. Shout out to the OG Darwin. Where's Sean? Eliko, none of your business. Matt Booth, Oscarito, Fiddleback, Look Shoon, Jonathan, Danielle K, Leo there, Atif Tibet, Ronaldo, Derek Thompson, and Darren Golden. Big Spile Burdette. Got pictures to show in a second. Tammy, Pitchbull, Jonathan Stewart, James Dell, Logan Pop, and Shay Howdy, as well as Miss A. Miss A has decided to join us as well. That's good. Gorev, the Pawns, the Fawns, Roberto. What's up, my man? We got Chucky, Trader Forever, and TX Trader. Good morning, Adara.
Good morning, Sharif. How are you this fine Wednesday?
I'd be fine.
Is it Wednesday, yeah.
It is, yeah. Hump day.
Hump day.
How's it going? Yeah, good, good. I'm fine, fantastic. Everything is good on this side of the desk. Ready to look at the markets, ready to trade. So let's get right down to business. If you've got nothing to talk about, we'll start right now. Cool. So as you can see, everything down into the right row. There's not really much in Meg 7 world that's doing a whole lot of green. Apple is trying to weasel its way back into the volume weighted average price near that 228, mid 80s, somewhere in around there. I was actually talking to Big Spile Burdette on the gram, and he's like, look, man, it's it's my kind of day. It's red, it's fantastic, but I'm actually looking for a mean reversion trade. So shout out to Big Spile. Haven't seen him go long on these here futures in a hot minute, so it'll be nice to see that. We're also at local resistance levels here on AAPL. The only reason I'm focusing on this one is because it's really the only one doing green at the moment. We'll cycle through the small cap gappers and some of the other names, but yeah, coming into that local level of resistance right now is AAPL, so I'll be looking for possibly a short on that one. Microsoft looking awfully weak here, continuing to print newer lows off the 10 EMA. Basically every rejection has been either the 10 or the 20. It's been a short the pops kind of day. Breaking through now for the first time on today, 440. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. That's been a level that's been of importance for some time, so keep your eye on the Meg 7. Very much in negative territory today. Really looking at where we can get short and what indicator we can get short off. So that's what I'll be keeping my eye on today. Adara.
Yeah, I've been in the EWIM, the IWM. I took an EWIM trade earlier, did not go well, and I really want to shout out what Neil and Obi were saying about if something happens, if you get stopped out, whatever, and you still believe in that trade, you got to go harder. That's what I did here in IWM. Already took some profit on this one, and this is the level I should have been shorting in the first place, that 223.30. I wrote a plethora of levels down for IWM. One of them was 223.40, so I didn't quite get it. It was close enough. I was ready to take that trade. I was staring, and I was like, Adara, you need coffee. Before you take this trade, you must caffeinate. So I caffeinate, I come back, and we're at 223. I was like, I missed my trade. But we were seeing these lower highs there on the book. I was like, try this short at 223s. I said, if I see anything change on the book where it looks like we're going to curl higher, then you get out. We did get a little bit of that twisty curl, so I ended up getting out there of that trade when so I lost 18 pennies on that. But then I watch this, we get to 50s. Like I said, at 40s was the main level I was interested in. We get to 50s. And then we drop, and I say, see what we do at 40s, 30s. We get to 30s, then we go lower. I already have scalped out about 15 pennies out of this, and I did add to the position when we got back to those 30s. So I'm continuing. This is going to be a bit of a, one of my little chop and churn type trades. This is the type of style I like doing. If the IWM give me the opportunity to do so right now, we don't want to break 21s. So I'm going to take a little bit out at 21s because you guys know 21 can always do something for me. That is a level I will always be pleased as punch about. Also looking at Schwab here because Charles, can I call you Chuck, Charles? Chucky Schwab here. I want to take a look at here. SCHW. This one currently still down in the day despite that SSR. I was looking for an SSR bounce. And it's giving you some interplay around VWAP. We had rejection, a little bit of a bounce. Let's see what we do here. Also eyeing Lily, Mademoiselle, and its cousin here, Novo Nordisk. These ones did have Roche having some positive drug-related data. IWM also popping higher, so I'm probably going to have to say bye WM before I get too IW massacred. Shout out to Sharif for making that joke today. But you know what? Right now we're going to wave our way into this lesson of the day.
All right, we're talking about Elliot. Wave theory all week long, continuing over from last week. So let's get right down to it. There is the title right there. It is pullbacks versus reversals. We're talking about wave 2 today. We got more nuanced on how to identify wave 1, the more volatile of the waves, the initiator of the actual sequence. Today, we're going to be looking at wave 2, how we can basically discern a wave 2 pullback from an outright reversal, given that that time of the Elliott wave sequence tends to be quite volatile. So in Elliott wave theory, correctly identifying a wave 2 pullback is absolutely crucial. It separates the energetic wave 1 from the powerful and lengthy wave 3, which offers a potential entry point for a continuation trend. However, mistaking a wave 2 for a trend reversal can lead to misleading opportunities and costly exits. Let's explore the key characteristics to differentiate between the two. So let's get right to it. So why are we, taking the time to talk about wave 2? Well, there's a reason for that, right? There is a certain amount of importance allocated to wave 2, even though it's the corrective wave, not the trending wave. Well, there, I kind of prefaced it. It's a healthy correction. So a wave 2 is a natural and healthy price retracement following the initial thrust of wave 1, but it also sets the foundation for wave 3, the biggest, the baddest, and the lengthiest of the waves. A well-defined wave 2 sets the stage for the extended move of that wave 3, and it also presents us with a trading opportunity. If we can correctly identify wave 2, then it presents us with a nice entry. So identifying wave 2 pullback can present a buying or selling opportunity, depending if we're going long or short, just based off that. So how do we distinguish wave 2 from a reversal? I'll be talking about the characteristics to be looking at for wave 2 versus the characteristics you need to be looking at for a reversal. So let's start with the wave 2 pullback. The depth of wave 2. So typically, wave 2 will retrace between 38.2 to 50% Fibonacci retracement of wave 1. Let's repeat that. 38.2 to 50% of wave 1. You usually within that range. However, there are times where it can extend up to 61.8% using Fibonacci retracements. The time frame also important here in distinguishing wave 2 from a pullback. Wave 2 generally is shorter than wave 1. It's important to note. So lengthwise, days, hours, minutes, whatever time frame you're charting wave 2 or the Elliott waves on, typically wave 2 should be shorter in length, not price, length, than wave 1, price as well. Volatility, another important factor to consider in identifying wave 2 versus a reversal. Often less volatile than wave 1. We know wave 1 tends to be typically quite volatile because it's initiating the trend, and it tends to have less choppy or corrective price movement. And there is an Elliott wave rule here that wave 2 should not breach, okay? So specific Elliott wave rules like not exceeding the starting point of wave 1 for a downtrend or not retracing below the swing low of wave 1 for an uptrend. So essentially where wave 1 starts, so if you're going north, if you're going up, it should not retrace below wave 1. And I'll show you what I mean by a second. So here we go. This is the wave 2 fib level. So what you get here is the initial thrust of wave 1. Wave 1 starts over here, concludes at the crest over here. So what you would be doing is you'd be looking to measure the entirety of wave 1 and look to gauge a retracement of 38.2 to 50% of the move. So you'd be looking somewhere in and around here, okay? So that's the idea there. You kind of base it off fibs. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is the rules that Elliott wave theory has. So here we go. This is the start of wave 1, right? And then what ends up happening is you have a breach of wave 2, of the bottom of wave 1. So that's incorrect. It cannot be that way, right? Same thing goes over here. Wave 1 initiates over here and it breaches it. So it cannot be that way. That is a breach of Elliott wave rules. So here's how it typically should look, okay? So if you're going on a bull, the start of wave 1 starts up here, it concludes up there. Wave 2 starts up here, concludes down here. It doesn't breach the entry, the initiation of wave 1. It definitely comes like about 2/3 of the way down, but there's no breach. With respect to a bear move, a down move, so initiation of wave 1 starts here, concludes there. Wave 2 starts here, concludes there. You have about a 50% retracement there. And in this case, wave 2 is not as deep. Like you can tell, there's zigzag and there is a flat. So in this case, wave 1 starts here, concludes here, and then wave 2 ends up only retracing about 38.2%. So it's showing you generally how wave 2 should look relative to wave 1. Obviously, goes without saying, each different instrument is going to have its own nuances, and they're not all going to, look as similar. So now, with respect to a trend reversal, what are some characteristics or signs that you can look for in that what you perceive to be a second wave that actually make it more likely to be a trend reversal rather than a healthy correction of wave 2? Here's the first one. Depth. We talked about the depth with respect to wave 2. We'll talk about it here for a reversal. It can be deeper than wave 2, obviously, potentially exceeding that maximum fib retracement of 61.8, and at its worst, obviously, breaching the initiation of wave 1. So you don't want to see it really breach anything beyond 62%. If it does, you really should be looking at more of the chances of it being a reversal here. The time frame as well. It can be longer than wave 1. So these retracements, these reversals, if they're not to be wave 2, they can definitely last longer than wave 1. So they can consolidate for a moment in time, zig and zag a little bit. So when you look at the time frame, the duration of wave 1, a reversal could be on the horizon if what you perceive to be wave 2 actually is longer in length than wave 1. And the volatility, it may exhibit increased volatility compared to a regular wave 2 with strong price swings in the opposite direction of the trend. So you'll end up seeing, instead of a healthy retracement, it'll start spiking up. Okay, and last but certainly not least, the breaking of the Elliott wave rules, like breaking key areas of support and resistance that have been established by wave 1, or violating other Elliott wave rules, like exceeding the starting point of wave 1. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking for there. And some additional tips to keep in mind: confirmation from indicators, right? Using technical indicators like we've talked about many times in the past, like the relative strength index, like the moving average, convergence, divergence, help you identify potentially overbought and oversold territories or conditions, I should say, in wave 2, which can signal a pullback rather than an outright reversal. And you should also be looking at the higher time frame. Made this point very clear yesterday. You have to get into the habit of doing a multi-time frame analysis, whether that's looking on the weekly, moving down to the daily, starting with the daily, moving down to the 4-hour. You get it. It has to take place like that because you need to be able to see the full picture. And the price action matters in this case. So look for continuation patterns, for example, like flags or pennants, like we mentioned yesterday, within the wave 2 pullback, which could suggest to you, obviously, the potential continuation of the trend. And here's what I mean. Again, I showed you this exact infographic yesterday, but I'm going to show it again. When we're looking at RSI price divergence, we're looking for the making of higher highs on the price while they're making of lower highs on the RSI. That would suggest to us a bearish divergence, but that's not the only way it works. We can also look for the formation of waves, whether wave 2, 3, or otherwise, upon the moving out of overbought or oversold conditions. That means moving down from 70 or up from 30, okay? Same thing goes with the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence. In this particular instance, we can look for bearish or bullish divergence. Again, what that means is the price makes lower lows, lower highs, etc., but the MACD says, we've done as good as we can do to the downside. We're gonna start making higher lows. That is what we call bullish divergence. Not the only way we can use MACD. As we mentioned yesterday, you can also look for the MACD line to cross above or below the signal line and coincide those crosses with the formation of the waves, whether on the crest or the trough. And you should also be looking for within wave 2, so not at the formation or the conclusion, but within it, for continuation patterns that may indicate to you, okay, that's the end of the retracement, and we're going to continue back in the direction of the trend of wave 1 and initiate wave 3. So if you see a wave 3 coming out of wave 2, for example, with one of these chart patterns over here, that's another check mark to add onto your list and say, yes, I'm seeing what I need to see in order to, justify my analysis that this is actually a wave 2. So keep those things in mind. And remember, guys, as we always say, there's no foolproof method, and markets can sometimes be ambiguous and bamboozling. However, by understanding these characteristics as we've explained them to you today and using them in conjunction with other technical indicators, you can increase your confidence in differentiating wave 2 from pullbacks and trend reversals. Adira.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sharif, for going over that and preparing those listeners. I think it's interesting, too, because much like with wave 1, it's like, how do you know if this is a whole new start of a thing or changing the tides, or it's just a regular old move? I like that we also have that with wave 2. It's like, this is a pullback? Are we continuing this move? So, yeah, it's really, they're part and parcel. It's partnered together to kind of look at both elements to understand it a skosh better. So thank you very much, Sharif, for that lesson. I've been chilling here with EWIM, and I've had some mixed trades on our pal EWIM. Like I said initially, I'm going to switch to the 1-minute chart because we have been scalping it up a storm. So I just want to even remember what I was doing here. So like I said, a couple shorts did not work. Then I ended up getting long here off that 223. Where did I start? I started at 40s, added here at 26s. Is this what happened? Yes, that is what happened. I started at 40s, added at 26s. We got to 10s, and I saw us bounce. We did technically have a higher low here in the book, so I saw us bounce. This is hard for me. I really wanted to panic sell, but I said, Adira, you're not really seeing any crazy motion in the ocean yet. We bounced like crazy, so I was like, cool, please just punch. Ended up actually, we got about, oh, this was nice. I got part out at 60s, part out at 70s. I had like a scintilla, a fifth of the total position here left. So that I ended up only getting about 10 pennies on, but not going to cry over or spilt shares there. Please just punch with that. Got back in when I saw higher lows in the book, then ended up getting out again for another 25 pennies. Tried this one more time. This was the time that was not the charm. Third time was not the charm for me in this. And it ended up, we got a little bit of a move down here. I ended up getting out. Should have probably gotten out a little bit earlier, but c'est la vie, you got to do what you got to do. I still like this 40s area. This 40, I've noticed, has been the motion in the ocean. This has been the key decisive factor. We'll waffle around this, but once you have that 40 break, then you know if this thing's going up or down. If you're scalping this. And again, take that with a pinch of salt, a grain of salt if you want. Also worth noting, though, this bounce here at like 10s to 15s on the book has been pretty strong. You can kind of see it reflected in the chart as well when you go to the 1 minute. But there is massive resistance here at IWM around this 223.70s with lower highs. So that's my quick EWIM analysis there, if I may. Schwab here below the 90 MA. I wonder, Schwab, if we have a good trade on you, can I call you Chucky? Do I have to call you Charles? Can I call you Sea-Dog? We'll find out. But anyways, I am looking at Schwab. I'm a little hesitant to short this one. I've never done an SSR name as a short. And I know Neil was also mentioning you have to be really cognizant with these ones if you're short because it can pop up. So I do want to be aware. I don't want to accidentally, break the bank on this one trade. But we do have lower highs. It's a clear rejection area, a bit of confluence as well. Bless you. That 63.58. We get there, we bounce, we pop, then we make a lower high, and it's also in confluence with VWAP, or 90 MA and this doji candle. So I do like that look. Don't have a verdict on that one yet. Also, someone was asking, where's Sean?
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, I still pressed the big butter button. He's in jury duty. I pressed the lot order button. But yeah, so that is what's happening there. Also, Apple crawling a little bit higher. I'm not the Apple whisperer, but I want to shout out Sharif's trade on that. I guess you're not getting too lost in that Apple sauce. How are you doing over here?
No, not yet. Maybe in a little bit. Took a beak wetter there. We've been trading this one decently today. Started out with the retracement down here. Did well, with the short. Looking for it to hold the 10 exponential. I'm going to get out if it breaches this area over here. Yeah, we're out. Profitable trade, but yeah, definitely still zigging and zagging. So I'll look for a breach of VWAP to really size into this one because it's obviously rejecting the volume weighted average price. But what I do like about it is it's making those higher lows. So if I can get a better price on AAPL for a possible mean reversion here. Otherwise, if it rejects VWAP and continues to make low, we'll get short on this one. But interesting look with Apple. Let's look at some of the small cap gappers because I don't have them all as small cap gappers because there's just so many other names running. I've had to look at some other names today outside of the Meg 7 and small cap gapper. But within the small cap gappers is Shim, 53% to the high side today, having traded 30 million shares, about $98 million market cap, 1.8 million share float, give or take. And let's find out the short float there using Trade Ideas, SHIM. So this one has a short float, a negligible about 1/5%. Nothing really to talk about here. So this one, it's not above the pre-market high. This one was an after-the-bell mover yesterday at 405, really spiked up. The 4 a.m. pump right there at the opening of the pre-market got into about 350 or just thereabouts, 348 technically. We're not above that. So, I don't have the best feeling about this name. I'm unlikely to trade it just because it's below the pre-market high. So we'll keep an eye on it. If it breaches the pre-market high, we can sing a different tune about this one. AMIX, this one was one of the bigger movers on the day, but it has since retraced a skosh. So it's up still 23%, $25 million market cap. The float, 10.1 million shares. And let me just double check the short float. Nothing, well, there's not one here using trade ideas. Again, this has breached the volume weighted average price. It's well above the pre-market high, so it has that going for it. But if it gets above $1.40, then we can start talking. But for the moment, not a good look. WNW was a big boy mover right when we started the show. I put this on the side chart, or right anticipating the show. It was really going here, but like with a lot of these small cap gappers, the fade comes in fast and furious. $1.54 high, trading below the volume weighted average price, a bit above $1.25, about 127 or so. The details on WNW are as follows. It's a $4.25 million market cap, so very small. 11.6 million shares traded on the day. The float, 1.6 million shares in the short float. Let's find out what that is. WNW. Okay, 2.5%. Yeah, again, not much to write home about here. Now, some of the other non-small cap gappers that I've got on here. GFS. Did anybody see the move today on Intel? Well, that was only kind of half of what GFS did. GFS catching the same catalyst as Intel, which is local North American, made in America chip production. And that's what the market wants to hear right now, or see right now after the comments from yesterday. So this bad boy was at 54 1/3 to start the day. It got to $62. This is just not a small cap gapper, guys. This is a legitimate company. The market cap on this is a cool and gnarly $33 billion. It did find a bit of a top at 62. For whatever reason, found a bottom, at least locally here at 58 3/4. The volume weighted average price, which it's trading below right now, at that gnarly 6.5. Let's go to the 4 hour here and see if we can glean any areas of interest here for resistance. So we talked about 62 being that level. Well, lo and behold, look at this area crest over here from the end of December, right around that Christmas time. It comes into 62 1/3. So 62, not for no reason that we found resistance at that level. Technically 61.98, well below that level now, breaking down below 60 into the high 59s. But GFS could be an interesting one, guys. Global Foundries is the name of the company going in the next few days. If this kind of made in America, onshoring, nearshoring kind of chip thing takes hold for the next foreseeable future, well, obviously, if he keeps making comments about it, Biden and Trump both made comments with respect to that kind of thing yesterday. Intel obviously got this one on the side chart. Looking at 35. 35 was an interesting area yesterday. When we moved up in the aftermarket around 6:30, we topped out at 35. We didn't have a lot of interaction with that 35 level in the earlier trading session, but now we are. Okay, so we dipped down after that big boy move into 37 and change. And lo and behold, where do we find an area bottom? Yeah, that's that $35 level. Sure, breaches it by 7 pennies, going to 34.93, which is the low of the day. I want to see what the trading is like here at set 35. If it holds it, we could take something here for a nice move back up. Donald John Trump, obviously on watch because of the RNC and everything that's going on in political world right now. And then Bloom Energy. All right, I'm not going to go too much into the fundamentals of the company, but the whole point of Bloom Energy and why it's been pamping is because basically data centers, AI data centers, are going to use a ridiculous amount of energy, which we don't have. So you're going to have to come up with some new innovations. A lot of people talking about small modular reactors for nuclear, but there's also hydrogen, and this is where Bloom Energy shines, pardon the pun, but this is the idea here. Bloom Energy looking to make data centers based on hydrogen fuel cell technology. They got a couple of deals under their belt, one yesterday, one announced today, or two yesterday, or something like that. The whole point is keep your eye on this one. And if I show you the daily, you'll kind of get a little bit of what we're doing here. Sequentially higher lows and higher highs since the start of February. So Bloom Energy looking like it has a nice little trend behind it here, Adair.
Yeah, so Tesla, I have been doing things in Tesla. We had a short, I was not scalping enough, initially got involved where did I get involved in this short initially? Also, I'm trying to get short again. Initially got short on TSLA at 250.50s. Then because a really small position, so I was like, oh, we'll add it to 50.65s. That looked cool for like half a second. I was like, cool, thank you, Tesla. Then that didn't work. We made these higher lows, got out, happy with where I got out. Then I decided we're gonna flip long because the way we were holding, we were like beautifully bouncing there off of support. We were seeing higher lows in the book, so I got involved 250.80s. What I really wanted was a breakup above into 250. Where is this going to be like 251s decisively? We never got that breakup. So I said, you know what, Adara, just took 25 pennies in Tesla. But I said, basically, when I was in the long, I said, Adara, you can try for this, see if you get that breakup. I was trying to get filled at 99s. I think we got to like 95s, and then we sold off. Lost out in that trade, but just did take a winner in Tesla. And I'm proud of myself with both the Tesla and the IWM. I've been able to step away from my short bias a little bit, try it short, try it long, find different directions. I don't mind taking a couple different trades in the same stock if I'm learning, if I'm growing, and if I'm trying to figure out new things. The reason I got short Tesla at that 250, that 250.20 area, for example, was because I saw we were bouncing off that when I was in the first short. So I said, if we break below that, Adara, and we will falafel, that's your short entry point. So happy to learn. Please just punch with that. Also, Zenod, $5 super chat asking for your take here. Sharif, any thoughts on trading index futures versus leveraged ETFs like TQQQ and SPXL?
I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
going to
Yeah, but
trade
that
for a
was
little
the super
bit.
chat there. That's really all. That Tesla was kind of all I was looking at. This IWM continuing to waffle here. I should be definitely keeping a better eye on this Russell as it continues to, rustle some feathers, to use an Obi pun from earlier. But this one's still chopping and churning and moving around. Lots of stuff to look at today. My eyes are everywhere.
Okay, I'll go.
Oh, sorry, I can keep going. Yeah.
So here we go. We'll look at some of the Meg 7 names that we didn't look at earlier. So Amazon putting a bit of a rounded bottom over here. So interesting look, 186. It seems to have found a bit of a base, putting in that rounded bottom, coming into the 20 exponential, which it hadn't been at all day. I mean, we dropped right at 930 the last time we were at the 20 exponential, and here we are at 187.5, finding a bit of resistance there. VWAP at that 188 level. I'm more, inclined to want to wait for a bit of a deeper retracement, less inclined to want to use the 10 and the 20. They haven't been working for me in the way that they were prior to the beginning of this week. So I'm going to be careful with how I use them, especially since Apple was able to retrace into VWAP over here and is doing a little bit of a dance with the volume weighted average price. I want to see how this one resolves. I do like the uptrends, the higher lows on Apple, but I'm concerned that it is obviously quite a bit of a negative day. So I don't want to be looking breakout-ish if the market is not really presenting me with those opportunities. So the higher lows, interesting here on Apple. Obviously, by default, the rounded bottom on Amazon has higher lows, but kind of in a different shape. This one looks more, Apple looks more like an ascending wedge, while AMZN has a bit of a rounded bottom. The reason I point out those two as opposed to any of the other two is because they're looking a bit more bullish than the other two. I mean, Meta's continuing to make lower highs. So is MSFT. MSFT, very similar look to Amazon in the sense that it's right back at the 20 exponential. Google, which actually had a better start to the day than some of these other Mag 7 names because it got a bit of a double upgrade. I forget from who, but this one basically touching the 10 exponential, and it hasn't had anything near the 20 right now. So we'll keep an eye on Google. There. Just as I say that, it does breach the 10 for the first time on the day, so we'll see what it does at that 180 and 2/3. Again, though, I'm more inclined to want to hold off onto that 181 and 1/3, which is where the volume-weighted average price is hanging out. I think, I don't think, I want to say Big Spile got it in my head that there's a mean reversion trade to be had here, but I am on the lookout for one, I should kind of say. NVIDIA has been interesting because obviously it got shellacked today. Because of the chips, the whole thing with the chips. But I like the fact that that 120 level, the whole $10 level, is basically coinciding with the volume weighted average price. So we get into that 120 level initially here at 1040, and we've been ranging below it the entire time. So But the other thing with this one is, much like we said with Apple and Amazon, the higher lows are coming into play. So that's, I don't want to look long on a day where everything is red, but I have to, call it what I see, and I see higher lows with an accumulation at VWAP. So we'll see if we get a break and take with one of these big names at the volume weighted average price. But yeah, so none. Here's where you have to look, none. So over here, you're going to see these white rectangles on my charts, and those will have the name of what I'm talking about. So I'll just give you an example. Here's goggles. Each one has a little white rectangle, and so you should be able to kind of see what I'm talking about there. I know that the setup of them is kind of not ideal, but it's not really in my hands there. With respect to the super chat, shout out to Zenod 1006, $5. Sharif, any thoughts on trading index futures versus leverage ETFs like the TQQQ and the SPXL? So that's a great question. So look, I don't think I have any issue with the leveraged ETFs, especially the ones that you trade intraday. I got to keep in mind that the levered ETFs are not good for holding them overnight because of the decay. Generally, you have more decay in those levered ETFs than you do with the regular ETFs. But ETFs, by definition, default, will have decay. The futures, though, I like because of its purity, right? It's really being traded by the institutions to hedge against different positions that they're taking. And so that's where the big money is. I know that the ETFs obviously work off, they're a derivative of the futures, but I personally like the futures better. Having said that, if you're going to trade with a small account, you need to really be aware of how the futures trade, because each tick is going to cost you quite a bit. So number one, we did a lesson on this, by the way. We did an entire lesson on it. If you can go into the YouTube homepage, like I'll show you over here, and basically search that on our channel. So you go to the live trading by Trader TV live YouTube page, type over here, type in futures. What did we call it? For futures contracts. Yeah. So it was it was about a month ago or so, or maybe a bit more than a month ago. Yeah. This one was, about a month ago. So we did it during these lessons. We basically talk about all the different derivative products, the pros and cons of trading, leverage ETFs versus the actual futures contracts. Just go back and have a look at that. I'm sure, and we did one in December as well. So there's quite a few of them. We did one a couple of months ago and one back in December. So you'll find a few over here. Hope that helps, Zenod.
You can definitely go back to the futures there through that YouTube. I think it was that lesson was really eye-opening for me as well, because sometimes I'll be like, I'm trading the futures, but I'm just on the SPY. And it's like, you're trading the same kind of idea, but you're trading them differently, right? So I want to shout that out. IWM, I am going to paraphrase TI here, grind won't stop, Russell won't quit. Yeah, this Russell is not quitting here in giving you some opportunities. I initially get short, I want to say 30s is where I initially got short. I've really added and subtracted since then. We pop up here to 45s, and I'm like, Adara, don't panic sell, don't panic sell, don't panic sell. You're still seeing stuff in the book, you like, don't panic sell. And then we come right back down, I get filled for my short, I'm like, cool. So stayed in that, or I guess panic buy. Is it panic buy when you're just short? Maybe, I don't know. But right now, the IWM having this bizarre, truly bizarre, I'm going to add here because we're still chopping and churning. We have this truly bizarre resistance here on the IWM at 223.10. I did mention that area earlier that we'll get to there. We'll bounce a little bit, but I'm like, hey, you know what? If you're going to give me that resistance, I will take pieces out as we get into those areas. So I've really been taking out at 14s, 15s with portions of that position there, because what it's really doing is it's giving you a lot of chop and churn. We'll drop 10 pennies, we'll pop 10 pennies. So it's like, if I'm going to have to wait for a breakdown, I might not even get my breakdown, I'm going to be taking some profit in between, because I'm a very impatient individual. We broke below 2-3-10s. Okay, let's see if we can hold that break below 2-3-10s. I definitely took out a little bit too much on that last profit taker, but that's okay. I have a piece and I have a dream, and that dream might be dying a little bit as we get back above 2-3-10s, but I want to see that decisive 223.10 break down to the downside. Also, thank you so much to Michael Moore for the $2 super chat. Descending channel on TSLA, question mark? Hopefully I have an answer mark for you on that. Let's take a look here on that TSLA. It's on the NQ, Adara, come on now. Oh! That is first pushback of the day, and this Tesla certainly deserves it. We have that 251 level, support. We come down, bounce, higher low, at VWAP here, high or low, with all these rejections here into VWAP. Then we drop lower, we try to hold 251, not so fast, break below. We tried to break above 51 again, and then drop lower. So basically what I'm trying to say is I think descending channel, but I also think what's more, not more important, what's also worth noting here, that 251 level. I think if we break above that, things could be wild and woolly because that 251 has been a huge area of support. Also want to shout out to Sharif because he was definitely called out that 252.50 area yesterday on TSLA, and that Tesla day, I don't know. And that certainly that was the closing level on Monday, and that certainly has been a level for TSLA today. Tesla around 250s could be interesting. That 250 breakdown has been a little bit wiffle-waffly. We had that bottoming tail candle. So like I said, Michael Moore, I think if we get back to 251, just given how much of a level that was, things would get spicy. But other than that, it does look like a pretty standard 9 EMA rejection. EWIM comes to 223 tens and is like, actually, I'd rather be higher again. I'm like, I'd rather you not. EWIM. Basically, as long as I see anything different here in terms of the market, unless I see like IWM decides it really wants 223.30s or something, I'm going to stay and I'm going to continue to add, but I don't really want to be adding when I don't have active eyes on it, right? Tesla certainly proving your downward channel theory correct as well here, Michael Moore, as it gets near those 249s. Thank you, Gabriel. Yeah, I try to stay positive. You know, I say even if the P&L's red, I'm always going to be green positivity. Also, one thing I want to address as well is I've mentioned this in the past. We broke below 223 on EWM, so happy with that. But basically, one thing I've said is I have a harder time trading in the afternoon, so I've made myself a checklist of questions if I'm going to get into a trade after 1. So hopefully that will improve the afternoon trading because I find I have a tendency to make really questionable decisions because my brain is just a little bit sleepy at that hour. Wow, that EWM breakdown here. Okay, IWM, do you want to give me like 50 pennies here? Okay, bouncing a little bit off 70. So you know what, if you're going to bounce off 70s, I'm going to bounce out of this trade here on IWM. Took 50 pennies in the money on the Russell 2000. If it keeps giving me opportunities, I would really love to get back in there. It looks like we're continuing to dip lower, but I wanted to profit take because I've noticed I have a issue if I stay in trades for longer. Like I had an IWM trade last week, 90 pennies in the money, ended up red on it because I didn't take out. So you just really, for myself, I find that strategy helps. But if I keep seeing lower highs, lower lows, especially 223 rejection, I'll be all up on that sauce. And I will want, I think all that smoke I will want. But Bitcoin's going to 0 here. It says candles, Evan. Let's see here how we're doing on IBA. I don't know if you're like doing that if you're quoting here or what, but we'll take a look at IBAT because I haven't really looked at Bitcoin in IBIT. Oh. Higher low, higher low, higher low. We had, looks like it was sort of maybe going to be a flat top break here at 32 or 37.20s. We get that push higher. I think if we bounce off 37.20s, I like IBIT quite a bit. Also, Novo Nordisk. I'm still eyeing Novo Nordisk and its cousin, Eli Lilly. Oh, Novo, you're going to make me do my third pushback already. Look at this bounce here at 135, like 50s, right? We come to 135.50s, chop turn, massive big old red candle, curl up, and then we come back here. We have a bit of a topping tail candle, a little bit here, but if we bounce off the 90 EMA, which will come into confluence is just above 135, I might like this as a long. The thing I don't like about it is it's going to be harder for me to scalp, and we do have here I don't love like the 5 cent to 10 cent spread. So that's something I want to be cognizant of. But that 135, if we break below, I'm cool shorting. If I'll hold it, I'm cool going long. It went back at 223. So this could be a bit of a decision point if I want to get back and do that Russell dance all over again.
Sounds good. Been trading Apple at the volume weighted average price, just scalping, doing well so far. I did breach that VWAP. Came into 229 and rejected, was able to move down 30 pennies, so kept scalping there. But here's the thing. So Apple is now above the volume weighted average price, not by a lot. I think that 229 is going to really be interesting to see whether it can take it, but it's the only one that's actually above VWAP right now. And by only one, I'm talking about the only Mag 7 name. So I don't want to take any breakout trades. I don't think it's a day for the breakout trade, but I do like these pullbacks into areas of support if I can get them, because it gives me a better price for any potential long. Taking the long at the highs, I feel on the Mag 7 today might be a little tricky. So here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing these lower highs come in to AAPL. So it's never really an exact level. This lower trend line goes without saying. So I'll be looking ideally here for that $0.50 to get defended. I'm talking about that 228 $0.50. Let me just make sure I cleared out all my orders here, because yesterday I had trouble with uncleaned up scripts. So here we go. Yeah, coming right back down. So should have just held that short a little bit more, but I'm still interested in this higher low situation. So I could be persuaded certainly to get something off that $0.50 to coincide with that lower end or the bottom end of that trend line. So we'll see exactly what Apple gives us. Seems to be retracing a little bit. Obviously, everything in Meg 7 world down decidedly on the day. So now let's pull up the trusty watch list over here and see what is strong on the day, because a lot of stuff is weak. That we already know. So as you can see, big tech without exception, weak. Chips without exception, obviously, no, that's incorrect. As we mentioned, global foundries and Intel strong on the day, but Intel now negative after the bell. GFS still up 1.86 after the bell. We had the memes, you know, I got my eye on GameStop. It's sub 30, keeping my eye on that. DJT obviously as well. We'll keep tabs on that. The EVs also weak today, except EVs and clean energy. Bloom Energy obviously up decidedly. Chinese EVs all in the red, I guess, because you know, Donald Trump showed some hawkishness yesterday, as well as Joe Biden with the chips and whatever. So bad news coming out of Washington generally there for China. And so that has everything really in Redsville over there. Now, this is the one that we could finally get some strength on to the high side, because crypto has been one of the things that has been running up as a result of the RNC. Positive comments coming from Donald Trump with respect to crypto. So we'll keep tabs on that. I see Apple is at the $0.50 over here. This is the area that I wanted to get in. I want to see what this does at the area. Does it breach the trend line aggressively? I'm looking at the side chart over here. Sorry for digressing, but I'm just going to keep my eye on this trade. Yeah, I could definitely be persuaded to get in if it holds up in and around here for a nice move up. So the area crest off which I would, or area trough off which I would base this trade if I was to get in here, would be this 228.20. If it would make a newer low, then the sequence wouldn't be valid anymore, right? Because we're looking for the higher lows, hence why I'm getting in. So right now there is a bit of chop and churn at the $0.50. Let's see what we get a little bit here. Yeah, okay, let's go long on AAPL. Doesn't look like I'm going to get in. So it did run a little bit without me there. Yeah, sometimes that's the case, right? If you wait a little bit too long, runs without you. So let's see if we get filled on the drop back down. Looks like it is going, yeah, it's right up into the 70s. So I had the right idea, poor execution, but that $0.50 held quite well. We'll keep tabs on it. I'm sure it'll give me more opportunities throughout the day. Going on with what I was saying, so crypto, we'll keep an eye on that. Cybersecurity, much like, you know, everything else, really taking a shellacking today. Cisco, the only one that's green, they're up 1.25%. Fintech, and I thought, you know, this one would continue to do well as a result of the lower interest rate predictions that we're getting by the end of said year. Not much green there as well. So not a whole lot green. Pharma, biotech is green a little bit. Solar down aggressively, despite the fact, again, much like some of the other categories, it stands to benefit from a lower interest rate. So maybe taking a bit of a break today. But there's a lot of strength in energy. As you can see, everything on my energy watch list in Greensville being led by the actual West Texas Intermediate contract, up 1.86%, looking to almost go 2. Aggressive move for it today, basically up 1.75 since the bell has rung. Banking doing quite well, saving except for Schwab getting shellacked today as a result of poor earnings. JPM up big again for banks, obviously 1.5%, followed by Goldman, which had a decent day yesterday. Consumer defensive, really all of them mostly in green except Costco and Target, Walmart, Kohl's, all the others ones are green as well. And uranium, I saw some people talking about this in the chat, basically saying uranium is on sale. I don't know how I feel about that, but CCJ is down big today. Cameo Corp down 6.7%. This has been a very strong stock lately. Canadian company there, which deals in uranium with outsized volume on the day. Caterpillar, who saw Caterpillar yesterday? Neil messaged me this during the afternoon, be like, did you see Cat? I'm like, I saw Cat the day before. I didn't see it yesterday. And yesterday's move was even bigger than the day before. So Caterpillar in play, not much of a day trading stock, up nicely today, about 0.5%, but up with a decent amount of volume, 1.5 million shares a day.
Yeah, shout out to CCJ. I'm actually in CCJ long term.
Nice.
So good times there. Although not today with it being down 6%. CCJ actually reports soon. They report the week after next. So definitely keep an eye on that. Also, if there's any other stocks you're keeping your eye on today that you're like, I wonder what, Neelage or the Obi-Wan-fidence would have to say about that. There's a way of doing that. You go right now and you vote, exclamation point, join, space, $, whatever tickers your fancy. Maybe it's Tesla, maybe it's CCJ, maybe you want AMC, maybe you're in a GME mood, maybe you want COS, maybe you want, because you can, right? Any of those stocks, get involved in there. We do believe in a democratic system here at Trader TV, and we are brought to you, of course, and this segment is brought to you by Real Trading, so check that out. I'm doing a thing here on Tesla. I got short, I know, like short near the bottom of the day. What are you doing? I was watching the book here, and we cannot get to 248. My area of entry is not like the vibiest in the world, but I was watching there at the book and I was like, hey, well, then I just say we pop back up. I was like, like if we're kind of seeing these lower highs, if we can't get above that 248, try to get involved here in the short and just short the pops. So that's what I'm trying to do. Again, area of entry probably could have added at 248, but we didn't get above 248, which is why I stayed in this. We're going to break below 247. Yes, Tesla. Yesla. I don't know if I'm going to get filled, but that's fun. Okay, should have been filled there, but I was not able to get filled. So good times there. As long as we keep seeing lower highs, I will stay in this. I'm trying to get filled here at 247s. That would make me pleased as punch. But if Tesla does not want to let me punch out, not much I can do there as well. We're going to see another 247 test. If we bounce here at 247s, I'm absolutely going to have to get out. But I am really happy. I trusted myself on this. I'm trying to panic sell a little bit less. I'm trying to be a little bit less calm. More or less calm. I just want to breathe, try to sit in these trades. And as long as I'm seeing stuff I like in the book, generally confirming my thesis, I don't need to freak out all willy-nilly every time I see something move, right? That's been a huge lesson. I saw that as well when I was in the IWM short. Come on, Tesla, why aren't you letting me out? IWM popping up to 45s, then going back to 30s. IWM also continuing to do its little wick shimmy dance. I'll also shout out to Obi for saying wick shimmy dance today, because Sharif and I are both like, oh. But yeah. Got out of Tesla. We did that wick shimmy dance there on IWM around that 223s. It is continuing to do the tango. Tesla could have gotten more had it been a little bit more patient or a bit quicker for that 247, but it's all good, baby. I have to say, living my dream today. I'm always so happy to be trading here these here markets. NVIDIA, speaking of wick shimmy dances, I think these candles tell a lot of a story here, and it's going to be NVIDIA 119. I watched this here because I saw that little move down here, and that's the 3 minute. Let me switch to the 5. And I was like, what's going on here? We're at that 119 previous support. We hold it, we bounce, then we reject. I tried to short at 119. NVIDIA is like, yeah, too slow. But it has been wicking and, in fact, shimmying here with this topping tail candle. I think there could be some things to keep an eye on here in N to the V to the D to the A, the monster, as Sharif calls it. That is for sure. But let's look at its family reunion, its family picture, which is going to be the SMH. And I call that the family picture because it's going to be all of the little chips there in harmony. Whoo! Look at that. What is this? 262.30, bounce, we come in, and near VWAP, we pop up, reject violently. Then we reject VWAP again here. So I like that 262.30. I don't know if we'll get it, but this could be a double bottom. So much like NVIDIA coming to previous area of support, SMH is going to be one I'm watching. Charlie Taft saying go long Tesla 246. I'm always going to be a bit of a scalper, right? So I'm going to be really honest. My trades are always going to be based on what I see in the moment in the scalp. So but I really appreciate it. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that level to see what we do here at 247. This 247 breakdown is being a little bit stubborn. It's like, it's giving me Capricorn energy. As a Capricorn, I can say this, where it's like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to be difficult. So we have to see Tesla here. That 247 breakdown, if I see something I like in the book, I'm kind of tempted to take it. But, kind of tempted is something you have a lot in Temsla. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens on this T to the S, the L to the A. What else are people looking at here? In the LCFY moving up, says MM. Market maker? No, I'm joking. But shout out to MM in the chat. LCFY. Local Fi has just been wild lately. This one moved last week. Oh, nice little 9 EMA bounce here for Local Fi. But look, we're kind of having a bit of an issue at that just shy of 7 area, which is where we popped up a little bit earlier. Let's take a look at the daily chart. With Local Fi too, guys, I saw only 0.2% short float. Very insignificant. But the bigger thing for me to note here is going to be the float on this one, because the float for Local Fi is under 1 million shares, 989,000 shares. We pop up here just shy of $4 earlier, come back down, then we bounce beautifully here coming into the end of last week. So good look here for Local Fi. We're also popping back into that previous area of resistance. We're a small cap chart. LCFY is not bad, but hopefully you're able to take some profit there on Local Fi. It has you smiling and happy. How are you? I saw you were in Apple there.
Yeah, just got stopped out right now for a 10 penny loser on that one. We'll keep eyes on Apple as it's breaking that lower high. Here comes the 20s, because this is the area where we held up last time. So let's keep an eye on this one. If it holds 20s, I'll go long. If it breaks it, I'll flip short on this one. But yeah, interesting look here from Apple. It breaches the volume weighted average price, but like the overall market, I think it is a little weak at the moment here. So we're going to have to look possibly short here on AAPL, but it's holding above that 20 penny area. So I just want to pack my patience a little bit more to see what we get with this one. So we'll look to get short at this level over here at 15s, and we'll look to defend or to look to wet our beak possibly into that 228 area. So keeping an eye on that, we did breach the low of the day on the futures. So we continue to make those lower lows on the future. 20,000. Where isn't this updating? Oh, I've got it on the wrong screen. That's why. We've got 20,000. Oh, 1 second over here. 20,000, basically 64 at the moment, looking to really come into that 20,000 level. That's kind of what I've been waiting for all day on the future, for us to get into that 20,000 so that we could see if we can get a nice little gnarly bounce off that level. But yeah, interesting look on these names right now on AAPL. Keeping my eye on this one as it pops right back up above that 20 area. So we'll have to get out of that. So a bit of a tougher trade right now on AAPL as it zigs and zags a little bit to get you into the said trade. I'm going to keep my eye on this 50 penny area as well, because we're still not really doing much in the way of a pop back up. So here we go to the downside again on AAPL. So let's wait in the mid-teens possibly here to cover on Apple. Keeping my eye on this one. What else is going on over here? I just saw Meta just broke 470. That had been actually a good level to defend on the day for Meta. Meta was at that 470 area in the earlier part of the day, but was able to defend it. It did break down now below 469 at around 468.29. That's the low of the day right now on META. We'll keep tabs on that. I'm watching Microsoft curl a little bit back down off a 20 exponential retracement. So that's interesting as well. Same thing with Google coming into the 20 exponential as well and rejecting on that. So we'll look to cover a little bit, waiting for this fill on Apple. We're nicely in the money on this one, waiting for that fill at 15s, but that's not coming in as quickly as we'd like. So I'm going to pack my patience on this one. Let's see what else everybody else is trading. Let's see. What else is everybody talking about? True Fam is looking to join FSLR. He wants that one talked about by the big kahunas. NVAX, says Tyler, will keep an eye on the vaccine or the biotech names. Mentioned that they were kind of strong on the day. NVAX was a good one. I had eyes on that one earlier. NVAX, let's look at that. Pull up this bad boy over here. Yeah, not doing a whole lot today. In fact, it's been more of a down channel, to be quite honest with you, here on NVAX. Not really participating like some of these biotech names. So not much for me to say there, really kind of rejecting off the 20 period there around that 1590. So we'll keep tabs on that one for you, but not much for me on that one. I'm keeping my eye on ASML as well, even though it's a super expensive name, really been beat down today. Let's bring that chart in. This one absolutely got destroyed, 11% to the downside with 979 the high, but there is a whole lot of defense at this 945. In fact, that is the low of the day, 945, and on this crest over here, it holds up again. So something with that price and NVAX. So we'll keep tabs on that one. Lots to trade today. Just so many names. Hard to choose a little bit. Oh, yeah. So keeping an eye here. Still in this Apple trade, looking for that move down, but kind of candle of indecision right now as it kind of dojies. We'll see what it does with the $0.50.
Yeah, Tesla trying to pick up here at 247. I tried to take that short at the low of daybreak because I did like stuff we were seeing in the book, but I took small size because like, I've had some issues wanting breakdowns in Tesla that won't happen. 249 on Friday. So I was like, we're going to take it with small size. And it was about getting the reps in because I'm not going to learn if I don't try it, right? We did end up not being able to make any money and then I did have to leave, got stopped out. Then I see, I left as well because I didn't like what we were getting in the book there as we push above 40s, right? 247.40s, I should say. Then we get to 247.50s and we hold them like, Adara, get long. Small position. I tried Tesla, was like, no. But why I liked it was because we're making higher lows here in the book. If we bounce off 248s on the book, that could potentially be a vibe for me, but we're also getting a bit of a topping tail candle. Either way, Tesla 248s could be interesting. We did have Michael Moore earlier in the chat, not the documentarian, but our lovely person in the chat there. Thank you so much, Michael Moore, putting in the chat there, in a super chat that, Tesla in a descending channel. I don't disagree. I think there's certainly evidence of that. And I think if we reject here that the ascending channel is probably still intact, I want to see what we do here at 248 because Tesla, any stock at a whole dollar level, but especially TSLA and VDA, these mega caps that go a little bit more ham, I find they can be deeply fascinating when you get to these whole dollar holds. Speaking of whole dollar holds, IWM continuing to do the wick shimmy ballet here. This one should be on the big stage, how this one's dancing here. Chopping, churning here at this 223 area. I'm the 223.20 short. I tried another short in it. I ended up getting out, lost about 4 pennies because Derek, you don't feel confident enough in this, and you already had your trade that went well. Don't undo it with a trade you're kind of meh feeling about. But I think if this either holds 223.20, has some nice little pop there, that could be a nice change in the tides, or it rejects. We're going to have to wait and find out there what the Russell holds. But Tesla 248, still getting spicy. NVIDIA popping back above 119. What else? SPY, a bit of a downtrend here. I spy what you're doing here, Spider. Let's take a look at this S&P 500. Pretty choppy and pretty churny, but that's kind of the stuff I like here in the markets. This 558.70 level I loved. Bounce. We come here, rejection, fraught black below. Now we're making lower highs, lower lows, but we're trying to pop back up on this candle. The SPY for me is always going to be very scalpy because it moves like wildfire. It's like the whole market, right? You got 500 names to worry about, not just the one. So I do want to be really cognizant what I'm doing here on this SPY, if I am to do anything here in the SPY. That being said, these making lower highs here. I don't know. I don't want to chase here, but if I don't have to chase waterfalls, I am interested in Tesla. You're getting to 248. You want me to scalp you? I mean, come on. I'm okay with that, Tesla. I can take. I would like that smoke. But Tesla now trying to maybe bounce off 248. So again, definitely not something I want to rush into unless they get that nice actual push below. Because right now it looks like we're trying to bob for apples a little bit here on Tesla. Not to name drop Apple for no reason because I accidentally did that there. But what else is going on here? NASDAQ 5-minute candles printing says, Gabriel, yeah, let's see here what we're doing on these Qs. I have the Qs up. If I trade this, it'll be on the TQs. But flat bottom break a little bit here. 484.50, lower high, baby quadunk. Let's see what we do if we get back to that 484.50 and reject. That's the type of look I like. But yeah, nothing on my side chart is giving me crazy movement except for this SMH, which I am certainly a little bit interested. SMH. Oof. Okay, I'm going to see if I like the look better in the sock cell or the SMH. But if we reject here, we're coming into the 90 EMA. We're coming into that previous support area. It's going to have to be a yes for me. We're gonna do SMH. We're gonna do it 20s. And again, if I see anything different here on the book, if we pop above that 90 EMA, if we start flipping from support to resistance, that's where I get out. We're gonna take a medium-sized position here because I want to try it. Again, you don't learn unless you try, and I think in the markets especially, you can watch tape and come to whatever conclusions, but it's different when you actually are interacting and you're in a situation where you have to deal with it and move at the moment. Rundle Legere mentioning HNST. I saw this one moving earlier, the Honest Company. They a bit more volume now than they had in the morning. I couldn't find any news on this, but this one interesting here. We are below the 90 EMA. I get a bit of a volume fade off here, though more cumulative volume than we had in the morning. Let's see what we do here at this. Is this halted? I can't tell because it doesn't look halted, but the orders kind of look halted. I'm honestly confused here about the Honest Company, but we're below that 9 EMA. I'm going to take a look at the halts here because I want to figure out what is going on here with this HNST. It's not seeing it here coming up as a halt. But yeah, we are below that 9 EMA. I think that's an interesting level, that just below 4, a little bit of rejection. Let's see what happens here on my semis.
All right, sounds good. Let's keep an eye on the small caps as well. I'm starting to note a bit of a range happening on Shim. So this one's been popping up into about 320, and then it breaches VWAP, but it doesn't really breach it by all that much. There seems to be a buyer, and I haven't looked at the book yet, but you can kind of see this reflected on the chart. Look at this, at 308, it keeps bouncing off. You're not getting the same pops like that 320, but I think there is an ample volume on this one to be able to size in at those levels. So it's kind of like almost like a buyout trade in the sense right now where you sit on one level with size, and then you try to get out on the other there, or like a few pennies, shekels higher a bit there. So we'll keep tabs on that. It behooves us to load it up onto a trading screen, but I don't want to get rid of too many over here on the Meg 7. So we'll take off this one. So 303 is where I'm seeing the buy. So let's see what we get over here. This is not 303, excuse me, 308. 308 is where we're getting all the bids at. And when you look at the book, you're not really seeing it reflected too much there. So you can get the feeling that there's a bit of an iceberg, but everything that comes into that 308 seems to get bought up quite aggressively. So interesting here, if you can play the range on that, that should be interesting as well. So we'll see if we can get in on this one. I'll give it like a few shekels there to defend that level. So we'll look at that, and then we'll go like this. So there, that is in place. Let's see if we can get filled and play the range there. Not sure what else is popping off over here. I've been keeping an eye on that 35 on NVIDIA. Now Intel. It gave way, but now it's trying to reclaim it again. So we mentioned that the low previously was 94s or 93s. Now it dipped into 81s. So the downward channel is still in effect on this one. But the thing about this one is just retook the 10 exponential, but it doesn't look like it's going to hang about there for all that long. So this one was discernible in its trend. Now it's kind of lacking a little bit of that. So keep tabs on it, see if we can trade Intel to any sort of success. Keeping an eye on GFS as well, because these guys are both benefiting from some geopolitical stuff over here. Both really off the highs and unsure how these ones are going to trade. They're, doji candles showing up with lower volume. So yeah, that situation is making me a little unsure. Now we did get long over here on shim at 308. We can see that there isn't much of a bid at this 308 area. So I'm going to pack my patience to see if we can get anything out in the higher end of this trade. Let's see if we can get out over here. We'll put a little beak wetter there. 302 is really going to be the area where I defend, but there does seem to be a bit of a buyer in and around that area. We'll see if that breaks, but there are lower highs. So keep that in mind, right? Where we initially were bouncing off 22, then we started bouncing off 20s and incrementally making lower highs. So the bottom could come off. You have to be cognizant of that with these small cap gappers. There we go. So nice. Taking that fill right there. So that's good. On shim, we get a little bit of a good trade there up into 14. So good range trade on this one. We'll keep an eye on it. What else do we have moving? Let's see what big tech is up to. Yeah, still a whole lot of selling. So I did get into a brief short there on AMZN as it was dancing around the 20. But what's concerning me about Amazon is that the space between the moving average is getting a little tight, which obviously tells you the price range is getting tight. So I'm unsure what to do about this one. You have so many different signals. You've got bottoming tail candles, you've got topping tail candles, so kind of not really giving me the look. But the price action is lower highs. So if I really had to choose, I think this one curls right back down, just like kind of like what Meta is doing at the moment. Bit of a rounded top. Now we're getting the lower highs there, as I said. So AMZN looking like it wants to break that 187 it again, and it did break it by almost $1 actually at the lows there, 185.99. So you've got something to test, and those are the previous or the day's low on the day. So good look. Wow, 469 just absolutely went here on Meta. We're talking about that level being an area that's being defended, but yeah, that one breaks as well. 468, excuse me, and a third generally is the low there. Microsoft kind of doing the same thing over here with that Amazon is doing, where it gets into the 20 exponential and gives you a couple of topping tails and then some bottoming tail candles. Again, if I had to take a trade here, I would take one short, just based on the overall trend. So trying to recover above 441 now. It does seem to have a local buyer at 440.5, excuse me. But that's not really set in stone. Obviously, that could change at any time. Adam, that Apple wick VWAP was my entry, my guy. I didn't see the Apple wick. Oh, no, here I go. So interesting. So VWAP on my charts are around 73. This one came up into 82s or 83s there. Great trade for you. Look, back down into the 50s. So good play for you, Adam. Nice range here that Apple's been putting in. Bamboozled me. I'm red on it. So I'm going to just hang back from Apple for the day. It was also red on Apple yesterday. And, Apple's been trading a little bit different since it's become a bit more of a volatile stock. So maybe I'm trading it the old way when I need to trade it the new way. So keep tabs on Apple, but gonna hang out and hang tight with it right now. Good look again here on AMZN as it puts in another local lower high on this lower, kind of what I'm seeing is a rounded top. So interesting look there. Let's flip back to see what the shim is doing. So shim still hanging out at 10s, but I de-risked the majority of the position already at 14. So we'll see if that one can continue to pop up. But really, 8's my line in the sand there. It's going to have to hold above 8 because it's been holding above 8 the entire morning ever since we took it at around 10:30. So that is interesting as well. Coin, a good buy here, says IK. Coin's been quite strong the last couple of days. Let's pull in the side chart over here and have a look at Coin, down now 1.7, but still up 0.5% since the bell. So let's load up Coin on the side chart. Mara was an absolute rocket today. I was talking to Big Patty Ice back there about Mara, and he was like, I was looking for that big move, and I had it. I had it, and I ended up taking it. So shout out to BPI. Mara can be a bit of a bamboozler, but yeah, Coin, good look. I like your thinking. Coin just got into the low there at 9.29 right before the bell. We closed out there at around 245.5. We did get as low as at 244.75, but you have a bit of a double bottom here right now at 245.25. So I like your look. And now if you do get that mean reversion, you could target so many different levels. You have VWAP at 251. You also have the closing print from yesterday on Coinbase at around 251.38. So multiple different levels off which you can target. And you also have the IB high. You have the high a day if we really get going on the market. So Coin, not a bad day for it. I know it's down 2%, but relative to the overall market, I'd say it's still a little bit better. Keeping my eye on, obviously, Crypto Adara. I think Neil, though, is ready, so we'll send it to Neil for his lesson of the day.
Welcome. We got another lesson of the day for you. And I always try to say this. I mean, if you're watching the morning show, you should have a decent idea of what the most important thing, at least for myself, in terms of trading, that you could have done better or you could have done differently. It should be obvious. If you can identify throughout your trading session, what's the big thing that I learned today, or at least where should I be looking for some guidance, or what's the price action telling me, or what's the most important piece of information for the future that we were able to garner out of the market today? I know that was Tesla, right? So I always want to be patient if you're going against the grain. And I know Tesla was an absolute rocket ship. So the idea was a mean reversion on Tesla. Let me start from the beginning. And the beginning would be you have the stock when a huge rally gets up to a resistance level all the way back at the end of last year. Hey, was that my birthday? No, I was close to it. A couple of days after. But 265 gets failed once. It then fails a second time on a retest. And then you get these like bounces and then lower highs. So it did a little bounce, another lower high. I'm just simply thinking fade trade. There's your recovery day into another lower high. We wanted to get into that level and short it. Did we make money in Tesla short today? Sure. Yeah, we did twice. But could it have been a lot better? I mean, obviously. So I know in the moment, what I had said is it's a strong stock screaming up, bouncing off VWAP. I don't want to reshort it going into that previous day high in 258. However, there's something that happened after that. So it screamed into it. I don't take the short running into me, but I should have had it after. And here's the reason why. When you're doing a mean reversion trade, there's a couple of things at play here. One of them is the stock is simply overextended a little bit and you have longs taking profit into a potential resistance level. Are they going to be happy 51 all the way into 57? Sure. 53s all the way into that level, and people are going to be taking profit. You get some deceleration, and then it's just exhaustion and you pull back in. But the bigger trade for a mean reversion isn't just that. The biggest mean reversion trades typically also trap people in the other direction. Meaning it's a super bullish stock that has all those factors of slowing down and no one wanted to buy those tops, but then it gives people a reason to buy the top. Both buy the dip, which clearly I would argue happened here in VWAP. You have some buyers in the dip that are going long, 55, 56s, 57s on the way into that high, thinking they're getting sneaky about it. but you also broke that double top on a very bullish stock. Yesterday's high has already been cleared by that point. So you've already gotten through yesterday's high, double top breakout. So you've trapped some longs, some new longs that are viable or likely to have tighter stops. People that are long up here are going to give it some room because they're deep in the money. People that are long up here are scared to death when it starts to reverse. Been in a breakout trade? Trust me, that's what it's all about. So if you're looking for a reason to maybe get out of the way of it on the way up, I stand by that. But the bigger trade comes on the way back in. And you would have heard me say this. When we're talking about Intel, I said to Obi, if you're willing to get into the trade on that mean revert here, well, if it wicks you out, then you should like it just as much on the re-entry because it can be more explosive to the downside on a similar risk trade. Now, I didn't get wicked out, but the principle remains. It wicks to top, comes back down. There was an obvious short opportunity in here right around that 57.5 or maybe just a little bit higher. Didn't have it. It even consolidated lower. It didn't have that. Took a 250 break. That doesn't really matter. I want to give you another example of where that happened. Maybe not as cleanly as Tesla, so you can get an idea that, hey, it doesn't always work out as obviously as Tesla did, and that'd be Mara. Mara, much like Tesla, breakout at the open, continuation. It pulls back right at the previous close. So this is an extreme example. Pull back right at the previous close. There's your exhaustion. You've got buyers in here at this level. Then you have a secondary breakout. This is where getting it in on the back end matters. It breaks the high. Now, it's not like Tesla breaks and then immediately rejects. In this case, it breaks out the high and it keeps on running. In a situation like that, if you're looking for the mean revert, okay, it does the pullback, it's making the break from the previous close, and then it's now going above yesterday's high. You don't just stand there in front of it. The entire principle behind this is that you're trying to short it on the other side. Well, in the 3-minute, it's up, 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 up. It even breaks to even dollar. Ignore those dark pool wicks. It breaks to even dollar, climbs even higher, and then you get a fall back in. I think the most reasonable entry for this trade is probably down around 27 when it starts to calm down. It bounces here on like the second 3-minute candle, tries to get back above 27, wicks it, and then fails. In that particular case, you're really risking about 30 cents, so about 1 percentage point. VWAP's down here almost 2 points, so that's actually not a bad risk to reward. I know it seems like it, but I would rather give up a little bit more in terms of percent against to actually have the trade on the other side so that you can get it in good in that situation. It's not always going to be so obvious as Tesla, where it wicks it, barely goes any higher, you just jump right back in the trade. This one actually extended further. And if you just, and here's the real problem actually. I'm just going to jump off. This isn't actually what I was going to say. If you really just have conviction that it's going to fail this 27 and really it's just trapping people, you could short and short and short and short and short, and all the way up here, maybe you short it 5 times with an average price of 27. That's the same average price as if it comes down and you get it in this direction. But you know what the difference is? In this case, you're joining sellers here, and you know where your out is defined because you've seen it make a top, and you get that same average price by just getting it all in at 27 and giving your stop to there. But if you just keep taking it up, average, 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 you end up with probably a 27 short if you're doing it evenly with that high. But what's actually making you put a stop at that high? You're just saying it's going to be a short up here. You don't actually have an out in that situation. So you could have max in, and maybe you're giving it to the 50 level because you're just picking a random number. It's a blue sky setup. So you might just be picking, well, 27 is my average price. I'll just stop out at 27.50 because that's a random number. Essentially, you're risking twice as much because you're just taking it up and against you, against the grain. Get it on the way back in, and you should be able to. If you really like it, then why can't you get the same average price as it's coming down? That is the difference. If you're going to go against the grain, have a distinct plan of action. Understand where you're wrong and be willing to miss the trade so it traps people into the breakout and you're not just shorting into the exuberance. Like you're waiting for those people to look at their stop out and then get it on the other way. And of course, everything I said applies in the other direction. Everything I just said about shorting that mean revert applies to buying the dip as well. There is no chance if you've traded for a long time or you try to trade that you're never going to want to short a top or go long a bottom. But having that extra confluence of it trapping the breakout trade, trapping new longs or new shorts at longs at the high, shorts at the bottom, should be a priority if you're looking for the big mean reversion. If it hasn't really done that, then you don't have as much explosive opportunity for the win. And ultimately, that's what should be there. If you're going to stand in front of a freight train to the upside or to the downside, then it should be because you have an explosive opportunity for it to retrace. If that doesn't exist, you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. That's your lesson of the day. The mean revert's always going to be here. Try to improve your entries, and you'll get those big wins, and without the big day-ruining losses.
Very much, Neil. Amazing. As always, Neil Roberts, baby. Every day around that noon hour, he is dropping hot lines because he is Neil Roberts. Shut it down. All right, so while Neil was dropping said hot lines, the bottom came off a shim. Happy I got out of this one before. Yeah, the bottom came off. And that's why I want to show you this, not to really toot my own horn for getting out, but to show you that these ones are around for a good time, not a long time, even if they do rinse and repeat over and over at the same level, especially with these lower highs. So if you're going to trade these, yeah, make sure you got stops in place, you're at the desk, whatever you need to do to keep everything sound. So shim no longer in play, at least for a breakout trade, or even a range trade here, unless you're going to take it short off 308. We'll have to see where it makes its way back into. So good luck on that, keeping my eye on those. I'm also keeping my eye on GFS here. Not like it's really rocketing or doing anything that would make me get super excited, but it's found a bit of a base at the 50 exponential on the 5 for whatever reason. So if this one starts doing a rounded bottom to come into that $60 again, I could, take this one up. We already know it's got a hell of a catalyst, which is obviously the geopolitical catalyst. So that is going to be important, I think, going forward, at least for Intel and Global Foundries and some of the other names. So keeping an eye on those. But big tech, though, well, not really Apple, but like a lot of the other tech really coming down. Amazon down again. Meta just printed new low day. So did NVIDIA. The futures is also lower. But Google is starting to differentiate itself a little bit from some of these other names. So I don't want to base everything exclusively on the 10 and the 20 exponential on the 5, but this one is working its way back up above that. And in so doing, it has created a series of higher lows for that accumulation top through 181. We have the volume weighted average price at 181.25. Like every time I look at these, I'm so inclined to want to short off a key level, right? So we had this level as, this level over here at 180, 180.50, important because we were using it as support. Then we kind of used it as resistance for a bit. Now we're kind of in this area of indecision. We're in between those two areas. The area top over here at 181.25 and the area bottom at 180.5. So in no man's land, so to speak. And that's why you're not seeing me take it long or short. Look at that. It just popped up and then popped right back down again. So I feel like the bid is really being pushed down by the ask today, and that's no surprise given the current state of the Mag 7. And there goes Amazon right back down. Amazon, one of the weakest names on the day. Obviously, NVIDIA, the weakest of the 7, but look at AMZN now down 3.5%, almost 3.5% there, 186.5. It hasn't printed low day yet, but that 186 looks like it's coming in fast and furious, only 40 pennies from there, and that is one gnarly rounded top off the 20 exponential south of VWAP coming into that area. So a lot of weakness. Meta, Amazon, super weak on the day. NVIDIA, obviously chief among them, 6.5%, 6.4%. That's also at the 118 level, and that is another area of importance because right at the 10:10 time slot, they IB low because it fits within the 1 hour of the opening print. We did print that 118.12. We're at 118.25 right now, so we're basically at the low of day, minus 10 pennies for NVDA. So keeping an eye on these, seeing whether they catch a mean reversion off the lows or whether or not we continue to print newer lows. But so many different weak names right now, Adair.
Yeah, it's been interesting here. I'm trying to short this Tesla. Speaking of these Meg 7, this one getting a little bit of a pop as we're near low of days. We know some, or for the Qs, we know, or also for Tesla, sometimes like Tesla will kind of have its own little thing going on. So I want to be cognizant of that. Happy I waited because I did see we got to the 247.50 and we couldn't hold it on the book. So I said, Adara, try the short. I don't have a reason to leave yet, but I do want to be cognizant. Okay, yeah. And as I say that, we try to pop here above 248. If we hold 248, so I'm going to have to get out here. Again, taking small positions, just trying, especially for Tesla, because I don't want to, force myself into things. Happy I got out where I did. Also, as I mentioned earlier, I have a new checklist I'm using for trading names after one. The way this exhaustion is hitting, we're going to start using the checklist now. So before I get into a trade asking, does this trade make sense? Why am I doing this trade? If I'm tired, am I able to get out of it in a way that is efficient and expedited? Because that is something, I had the Tesla for a moment there, I was just like, you could not fall asleep on Tesla. Tesla will not wait up for you. Tesla will go out without you, and then you're like, oh, I missed hanging out with Tesla. So be aware. They're happy I got out where I did. Lost about 50 pennies, but you know what? Happy with the execution. I think sometimes that's what matters. Really, again, proud of myself for hiding the P&L because it really lets you focus on the progress and the learning. But also, if there's any stocks you're looking at, get in that chat right now. Exclamation point, join space, $, whatever tickers you're fancy. Maybe it's TSLA, maybe it's CCJ, which we mentioned earlier. Maybe it's NVO, maybe it's LLY, SCHW. I am looking at my side charts again. JPM, maybe it's CPOOP, whatever stock, although I don't think that's moving today, but whatever stock you're interested in, get involved in that chat. Exclamation point, join space, $, whatever ticker you would like to see. Also, I want to talk about the semis for a bit because I was in SMH and I got involved in this on the show and I was kind of like, I got point of entry I didn't love. Then I saw we get to 50s. We tried 50s a couple times. I was like, Adara, the way this is moving, if it breaks, you don't want to be here. So I got out, lost about 10 pennies, ended up getting out around 30s because I got in around 18s. Then I switched to SOXL. I'm using SMH basically as my futures here for this and then trading it off the SOXL levels. So when we got those pops, it was basically adding, subtracting as we got the 50s or 60s breakdown. I was going to stay in this for the 55, 60s, but I was like, Adara, you have to go to you got to go do things while that lesson of the day is happening. So got out there. But SOXL still on watch if it wants to continue to have these lower highs, lower lows. I also am qualmless about shorting the SPY on pops. We're getting to 60s. That's been a decent pop area. So if pop goes the weasel or pop goes the spider in this case, that is something I would love to be a part of. And then also Tesla. This is clearly becoming a bit of a range. I should have been more cognizant of that. Now ranges can always flip, especially if that range you're talking about is on this here Cybertruck. We get to that 248, then we're making lower lows here into this 247s, then 246.50s. So something I want to be aware of, not something I want to force myself into, but that 248.20s I remember as being spicy last week as well as a level for a couple shorts. So I want to be aware of this Cybertruck first and foremost, but SPY, don't act like I don't have my eye on you because I certainly do. Yeah, good times there.
All right.
Also, Apple making, sorry, just noticed there, bit of an Apple turnover, making lower highs here off the 90 MA. I might short this as well.
All right. Yeah, Amazon is really coming down. And I'm sorry for the wick, so I'll show you this chart over here. But yeah, it is on the way down. Amazon awfully weak. I was really close to shorting this one, but I want to see exactly what it does at 186. There is at 185.99 low, and we're awfully close to it right now at about a 40 cents or so from there. That we've been at that kind of level with NVIDIA for a while. We've been defending the 118 level. So Amazon about to join that club in terms of that kind of rounded top to come down, print a new low or print a previous low, retrace to the high side, like reject off the 20-year VWAP or whatever. You could tell NVIDIA retraced a little bit higher up than Amazon was able to get the VWAP. Amazon wasn't, but both very much the same look right now, both coming into those lows. Here comes NVIDIA. Here comes 118.12 again on NVDA. So let's load up both these names right now. Let's actually load up AMZN on the chart over here. What are you doing, Ram? So there's Amazon, and let's load up NVDA over here. And keep an eye on these because both the levels are important, I would say. That 186 and that 118. Well, there you go. We just dipped into 118.10 and you had a nice little bump up into 30. So feels like NVIDIA a lot more volatile right now than Amazon, both very much near the lows day right now. 180, 118 and a quarter is where we're trading on NVIDIA. A third is where we're trading on Amazon. I'm keeping an eye on both of these for a possible bounce up off that level. I'm also keeping my eye on the NQ for that 20,000 that we've been talking about. That hasn't come in yet. 20,032 right now is the low of the day. Yusuf Salim, why is it dipping? I don't understand. Well, here's the thing. So the Meg 7's, well, tech in general has been quite strong. And if you make a comparison between the SPY and the RSP, and I would suggest you do that, the SPY essentially is more cap weighted, meaning that the bigger names, the more valuable companies take a bigger portion of basically the index there, or the ETF, or whatever you want to call it. It's a SPY, so it's an ETF. Whereas the RSP is equal weighted, so each company within the 500 companies of the S&P gets the equal weight. So if you look at how those two have traded, the SPY has far outperformed the RSP. So there's something called rotation, where you start investing money in these non-Meg 7 names, and that has an effect of dropping the SPY, but possibly making the equal weighted ETF bump up. So that's why, obviously, there's chips, there's geopolitical stuff as well. Yesterday with Donald Trump making certain comments, as well as Joe Biden wanting to increase the restrictions on chip exports to China. So multiple reasons, but one of the things about, trading intraday is all you want to know is there's a catalyst. You don't need to judge the quality or the efficacy of the catalyst. You just need to know there's a catalyst and the market is reacting to it, and just base it on that, based on technical. So just, I don't want to say don't worry about why things are dropping. Of course, worry, but, don't try to, say, hey, this headline doesn't make any sense. I mean, it shouldn't be dropping this much on this headline. You do that and you end up getting in some trouble. All right. Let's go back to trading. NVIDIA did break 118, 117.76, is trying its darndest to get right back up there. Again, a lot of trouble right now with NVIDIA. It's in big trouble on the day, 6 1/3%, the retracement. What a shellacking NVIDIA has taken today. I ain't touching this one long until I see something much, much different than we're getting right now. But the sell, there is no bid right now on NVIDIA. As you can see, this one drop aggressively. Let's see if it's able to take 116, but it's getting awfully extended from the 10 exponential on the 5, which is about $1 above where we're trading right now. So all sorts of trouble is NVDA as it breaks those lows. You're not seeing that concurrent move down on Amazon. I was making the comparison between these two because the chart patterns looked awfully similar. But look at this, right? We're holding that 186.5 level. We didn't breach that 186 while NVIDIA did break through that 118 level. So NVIDIA looking like the weakest of the bunch, and that is obviously no surprise given what the percentage down on the day is. Adam wanted me to look at Apple, and I told him I've been negative on Apple 3 days in a row now, so I kind of want to stay away from it. And here's what I'm seeing on Apple, and this is why I feel like I've been negative on Apple, because I keep looking for a breakout trade, and when it retraces off the lows, it doesn't necessarily retrace and continue to move up. It retraces a little bit, then consolidates, and I think this is where I get into trouble, because then I look, I'm like, oh, look, it's back above the volume-weighted average price. Oh, it must be retracing back into 230, and then you get sideways movement. So unless you're really able to discern exactly where the range is and pick your areas there and able to wet your beak on, definitely smaller moves because of the range, have at it. But that isn't the way I typically have traded Apple, so I find it a bit bamboozling. Back to NVDA as it dips again aggressively into 176 and 2/3. This one is really on the way down. So let's find out where we could possibly find an area of support, given that we have gotten shellacked like this on the day. So we've already broken below the lows of July 1st, which were 118, generally 119. Now we're going to actually have to look into late June. This is the last time we were down here on NVIDIA. June 25th, we got as low as 115. We did defend that level. And then, sorry, let me just, June 25th, there is a level again. And the day prior, so June 24th, we got a shellacking on NVIDIA where we dropped from top to bottom. Let me tell you what the down percentage on that day is. It was only like what was that? Almost 9% on that day. So that was the last time we really got killed, was the 24th. And then in the pre-market, it looks like there on the 8th, we held 115. So that will be an interesting level to see if we can work our way down into 115. It's a local low. Definitely continuing to move down now, 117.45. Every time I look back at NVIDIA, it's at a newer low. So real weakness coming into the NVIDIA and the general chips here, Dara.
Yeah, those chips are certainly dipping there. Continued lower highs, lower lows. Tesla, I tried the 248. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I know. OB's used that one before, so I feel like I'm plagiarizing. But yeah, chips are dipping. Everything's dipping, though. Tesla's dipping. I liked, like I said, 248.20. Took it too early, lost about 20 pennies. Opla di, opla da. Tried to shout it to that Beatles song. Also, Fabian's wearing a Beatles shirt, so confluence, question mark. But yeah, then I tried to go short here, Tesla, again, here, this 248s, wouldn't let me in. But we're making higher lows on Tesla decisively. As low as we dropped here was 247.70s, then pushed back higher. I don't want to mess with Tesla right now. I don't have levels. I'm not comfortable doing it. EWIM, though, I'm building yet another short position. And like I said, I'm starting my tired trade checklist because I know it might be hard to tell the way that the velocity at which I'm speaking, but I am, a bit on the sleepier side right now. This is what happens sometimes for me in the afternoon. So I have, as I was mentioning earlier, a new checklist for myself before I get into trades in the afternoon. And so it's basically like if I get really sleepy, would I be able to get out of this in a scalpy way? Is this the type of trade that I would take if I was not tired? Blah, blah, blah. Are there levels I like? And EWIM, IWM checked all those boxes for me. I'm going to switch to the 1 minute chart. I'm actually also going to get a bit ready to add a little bit here because that is part of the plan for this trade at 54s. But basically what happened here was I like the 60s level from yesterday, that 222.60s. Now the level for EWIM or IWM that I want to be cognizant of for the Russell is going to be 222.10s. We bounced there like a rocket. We looked like we were poised for a flat bottom break this morning. I literally said to Sharif, I'm like, when that flat bottom breaks, I want all the smoke. And then 925 hit and the thing dropped back up to this level. So I was like, arr. But yeah, if IWM wants to continue to coast here at this 222.60s, which was a bit of a support resistance level off which we bounced beautifully yesterday, I mean, I would like some smoke. I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, oh, no, I'm okay without smoke. I'm not. I would like some smoke. So I'm going to take some off here. Took about 40% of the position off here. I'm going to continue to add if we get into mid-50s. I want to see lower highs, lower lows. It's a bit less of a book scalp. So this is not usually a type of trade I'd be super comfy in. But with this IWM, as long as I continue to see lower highs, lower lows, and nothing, messing with my thesis of this, which is that it's going to grind lower, I'm okay with that. If I have a piece for the dream still, which I might not, the way that I scalp at that 222.10, I will probably take it out because, like I said, that level has just been defying all logic. IWM gets 1 cent away from filling me, then scurries right back up. But if there's any stocks you're looking at that you want to talk to, you're like, why are you doing this? We can look at them for you, or Neil and Obi can, and you can go in and Sharif will be at the green screen there as well, and he'll be giving you the stories. Neil and Obi will be giving you the levels. Go in the chat, ! join space, $, AMC, GME, IWM, SOXL, SMH. Maybe you're shaking your head at SMH. Shout out to Sean for that pun. NVDA, whatever ticker you want to look at, you go in that chat and you let us know, and we'll make sure we have that for you because this segment is brought to you by Real Trading, as is our whole show. IWM, can you please make up your mind so I know if I still want to rustle with you any further? Because, if you would want to let me know here, I'd be pleased as punch. Apparently, IBIT still pushing higher here. Long Frito Bendito, says James Dell. Yeah, I guess those chips certainly have been a look. Nice little chip pun there, I assume. IBIT, though, haven't looked at this one for a bit. But IBIT making lows of day here, new low of day. Definitely been a top and churn in that pretty tight, 6 penny range before breaking below. EWM definitely rejecting off the 90 MA. I'm going to switch to the 5 minute. Yeah, this is not my favorite look here. If we can reclaim 36 to 85, might be interesting.
All right, Ethan wants to know about Eli Lilly. Can we look at Eli Lilly? Is now a good time to invest short? Okay, so that's interesting. Here's the reason Eli Lilly is down on the day. It's essentially because one of its competitors has an oral pill, which is obviously less invasive than taking injections. So even though they are subcutaneous, they're not intramuscular, so they don't hurt as much. Better than a suppository, says the Chilean Nightmare, and he's absolutely accurate on that. But here's the look, right? Obesity drugs focused. Stocks tumble on Wednesday. What's going on with Lilly, Novo Nordisk, Viking Therapeutics? Essentially, it is Roche. Roche is actually going to introduce basically a CT996 type 2 diabetes for obesity. It's a phase 1 clinical trial. It's basically from a company that they acquired last year. They didn't actually do this in-house. They picked up the company vis-a-vis an acquisition, and they were able to, put this one through phase one. So it looks as if here that people lose about 6.1% of their weight within the first, it doesn't say how long here, weight loss, within 4 weeks. Okay, so that's the reason. So essentially it eats into their market share, and as a result, it's moving down a little bit now. Now you have to understand that Eli Lilly's up a monstrous amount on the year. So I don't think that you have a wrong idea in wanting to short this. I just hate standing in front of something as monstrous as Lilly. So just so you know, Lilly's up with the retracement 57, almost 58% from just year to date. But that's not when it started moving, right? Really, when it started moving was towards the, there you go, right there. Basically, towards the early part of last year. So from that time, as you can see, from like March 2021, or if you want to start from 2022, we can. Let's start January 2022 right there. So from top to bottom, we're up 300% in a couple of years on this name. So it's ridiculous, right? But I think that you have an idea, and it's sound, but I'd wait for confirmation. I just wouldn't want to stand in front of this name. It's awfully spready to get in and get out as well. Not like you're going to day trade this, but yeah, let me know how it goes. If Lilly if you end up printing short on Lilly, tag me. Let me know how it goes. So I took a trade on AMZN. I'm happy with it, but I could have done a little bit better. Number one, to the north side, because I should have been taking this to the 10 exponential, and the 10 exponential was at 75 pennies. I didn't wait that long. Secondly, I wanted a rejection off the 10 exponential, and look how this one looks on the 5-minute. I mean, it was well timed to take this trade, but I should have been more alive to the fact that it would likely reject off that 10 exponential. So I missed the short back down. Look at that bottoming tail candle, topping tail candle with the body very much near the low end there, showing you that sellers were pushing this right back down, but we're moving right back up into that level again. So if we breach and break through the 10 exponential, looking maybe here for a double bottom at this 186 general area. But I want to tell you guys that at times when, we're forming these chart patterns like double bottoms, even double tops, on days where the market is weak, chart patterns like double bottoms can, you can kind of get the false sense that we're going to retrace. Because keep in mind, double bottom, you need a neckline break for it to be valid, right? So just because you form the right side of the W or the right side of the M doesn't mean that it's going to actually break above like this level over here. So for this to be a double bottom, we need a 188 break, a break and hold. So that's about $1.50 from where we are. So it's interesting. We could get VWAP retracements. We could become rangy at this side over here. But I don't want to have this confirmation bias and say, oh yeah, look here, we're holding up at this 186 level, 186 and a quarter. It was an important level before. It's an important level now. Yeah, this looks like a double bottom. Especially on days where the market is trending down. So I don't want to fall into that false sense of thinking. So keeping my eye there, but I'm also keeping an eye on this Meta, man. Meta has not found a bid in a really long time. I mean, the last time we even touched the 10 exponential was 1140. That was an hour ago. So since that time, you haven't been able to get in Meta short if you based it off the 10 exponential because it just hasn't touched it. It continues to print newer lows. Here comes that 465 area, 465.14, the low of the day, but it looks like it's going to break. Let's go into the 4-hour here and see where we could find support on Meta. So definitely there's double bottom from May 31st. The last time we were down here on Meta, this was, I'm assuming this was after earnings. Earnings was in late April. The last time we were at this 454, 455 level. So I'm going to say 455 is that double bottom. But if we continue to drop from here, from where we are right now into 455, that assumes another 2 1/3 to the downside. So right now, Meta's already down. Let's see what's Meta down right now. Meta's down 5%. So yeah, it wouldn't be beyond possibility to be down 7 1/3 because Nvidia's already down 7%. So yeah, I do like this possible 455 here. Well, that's another $10 to the downside though. But Meta closed out yesterday at 490 and now it's at 464. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility for sure for us to hit that level. Meta, very weak right now, Dara.
Yeah, I want to talk about IWM. Mahmoud here was saying in the chat, oh, IWM, short flat bottom break. I think there's a change in the tides in IWM, which is why I got out, lost about 10 pennies in the remainder of my position. Why do I say that? Well, for one, I've been talking about that 222.10 level. I've been waxing poetic. Literally, I made Sharif listen to it before the open today. I was like, oh, look, IWM 210. IWM 210 bounced like crazy yesterday. We bounced like crazy today. That is IWM 210. So to get back to what I was going to say here, Mahmoud, I do think we're weaker. That's why I was initially in the short. But the reason I got out of the short, and I think I should have gotten out sooner and trusted myself instead of getting a bit anchored to this idea, was we're having higher lows on the book. We'll get like into these. We used to be able to break below 40s, not a problem. Now we get into 40s and we wick back higher. Now, of course, IWM's trying to like prove me wrong. So thanks, IWM. Much appreciated. I love when stocks do that. You say they do something and they like do the opposite. I'm like, okay. But anyways, I'm down to get back in IWM. I'm down to Russell with this one again. If it does kind of continue to have those lower highs, lower lows, I wasn't comfortable in it as we get into the high 60s. And I think we are forming a bit of a rounded bottom in the chart. That, in confluence and in combination with what I saw in the book, is not something I really want. Also, we're getting into that 1 p.m. area. We do have an auction today, and I'm going to remember which auction this is. It's a 20-year auction, so 20-year auction there at 1 p.m. We got a cool 20 more minutes. And yeah, I don't know if it reads up much here. IWM, Tesla, like I said, I haven't looked at much today, and I've looked at it a lot today, but I haven't looked at it much lately because I've been trying to become less anchored to this one. But this is a bit of a 9 EMA bounce. I like the 248.20 area. That's been wild. Oh my gosh, I don't love this topping tail candle, but I love this level. And I like that we're holding it as I'm speaking. We get to that 248.20 in the book, and Tesla's like, yeah, I'll bounce back up. Just rejected it, so that's not a vibe. But I think either way, like I said, that I don't want to be anchored to this level, but if this level keeps proving to be interesting, and it was interesting last week as well, at 248.20, that's something I am going to be, I don't want to use interesting again, but it's something I will be interested in and will find interesting. StockSell still in its downtrend. Tesla still in its downtrend. Also, I want to shout out Fabian, who was like, have you guys looked at Mo today, M-O? And I looked at Altria, and I was like, I mean, this thing's smoking to the upside. Altria, just a great look there. Puff, puff, pass for the shorts. No, I'm joking. But look at this double bounce here at, bless you, cough? I don't know. Look at this double bounce here at 48.85, sorry, bounce, pushing higher. So great look there. Thank you, Fabian, for bringing that one up. And also, shout out to Fabian and Ramin for everything they do there, giving us turtle-related antics, giving us great production. Shout out to that. BAC, kind of rangy, because I just want to look at my banks here. Schwab trying to go 2 for 2 on SSR. It was SSR yesterday, down 10%. Schwab currently down about 8%, but we'll get to Schwab in a moment. BAC giving you higher highs and higher lows, lower highs, so getting a bit consolidative here. If we bounce off this 44.10s, that was an area that was interesting yesterday that I want to look at again as well. And let's look at Schwab before it gets replaced by BAC in my watch list. Schwab, talking about flat, I don't even want to say flat bottom breaks. We only had it the one time. We get here, we come back to that 62.50s, wick into it once, twice, OB thrice, then we reject off the 9 EMA. Want to move to the downside here on Schwab. Tesla's still at my 248.20 area, so that I want to keep an eye on. IWM continuing to break lower, but IWM, like I said, that 222.10, my eyes will be all over that when it gets there because I want smoke to the downside or the upside. But right now, we're going to have a little bit of a wave, a change of the tides.
Yes, we absolutely are. Let's talk about wave 2. In Elliott wave theory, this is the first pullback wave. It is a counter trend wave, and it happens, yeah, you guessed it, after wave 1. So in Elliott wave theory, correctly identifying a wave 2 pullback, absolutely crucial. It separates that energetic, volatile wave 1 from the lengthy, strong wave 3, offering you a potential entry point for continuation trend. And guess what? If you get wave 2 right, you stand to benefit the most out of the trend because Elliott wave theory says wave 3 is the biggest, the baddest of the waves. So make sure if you're going to ever use Elliott waves, I don't use it intraday, but I use it for swing trades, et cetera, and long-term analysis. If you're going to use it, really understand how to get wave 2 right because wave 3 is the best one. And if you get it right, you can have the best price. So keep that in mind. All right, so let's talk about why wave 2 is important. I think I just did that, but the first thing is it provides us with a healthy correction, right? A wave 2 is a natural and healthy price retracement following that initial volatile thrust of wave 1, but it also sets a stage, sets a foundation for that wave 3, a well-defined wave 2 sets the stage for that extended move, as we mentioned, up wave 3. And if you get it right, it is one hell of a trading opportunity. Getting in that wave 2 before the initiation of wave 3 can absolutely give you a beautiful continuation of the trend. So how do we distinguish, though, wave 2, a healthy pullback, from an outright reversal? Because we know that wave 1 is super volatile and super choppy, so we can maybe get our analysis of wave 1 wrong, and that ends up moving over into our wave 2 analysis, which we also get wrong. So one of the ways to see the difference between wave 1 and 2 is to look at the depth, right? Typically, wave 2 will retrace between 38.2% and 50% Fibonacci retracements of the initial wave, wave 1. However, there are times where it can get a little bit steeper in its retracement and break 50% and get into that 61.8. I'll show you what I mean in a second using an infographic. The other way to keep tabs on whether it's a reversal or a healthy pullback is the time frame. Generally speaking, wave 2 in duration, meaning like time, is shorter than wave 1. So that you should be on the lookout for that. If you start seeing a wave 2 that expands longer in duration than wave 1, you should be on the lookout for a possible reversal. And volatility. Volatility features here as well. Often less volatile than wave 1, which we know is the most volatile of the waves, with a choppy or corrective price movement. And if the retracement breaches one of these Elliott wave rules, of which there are plenty, specifically here, we're talking about it not exceeding the point of wave 1 for a downtrend, or not retracing below the swing low of wave 1 for an uptrend. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean in a second, but here it is. So this is wave 1. We initiate wave 1 over here. We complete it over here at the double top, okay? So you could say to yourself, the start of wave 2 starts upon the conclusion of wave 1, which would be here. So this here, from top to bottom, is wave 2. So what we end up doing is we end up drawing fibs from the top to bottom of wave 1, which we know starts from here and concludes up here, okay? So we draw that and we say, okay, what's 38.2% of this move? What's 50% of this move? And we draw a zone, a buy zone in that area. That will be your buy zone to see whether wave 2 holds up in that 38.2 to 50% of the fib of wave 1. If it does, and it comes out of it, that could be one of your confirmatory indicators that, yes, this is wave 2, this is likely the initiation of wave 3, and let me get long here. So that's the first step, is to measure the fibs of wave 1 and base wave 2's retracement upon that. Second thing is to know exactly visually what to look for. So here's what I'm talking about. You get this wave 1 move up, wave 2 actually doesn't retrace the entirety of wave 1. And likewise over here, one's a bull pattern, one's a bear pattern. Really nothing super novel about that. And here it is again. You get the original wave 1 big boy move, and then this is the conclusion of wave 2. Retraces to about, 50%, maybe 61.8% of wave 1. This one, much the same thing, but the bear pattern. In this occasion, the flat and zigzags, which we talked about last week. If you want to know about flat and zigzags, go back to last week's fib lesson, and we talked all about that. But here it is. So on the flat, you get a shallower retracement of wave 2 than you get on the zigzag, typically. So you have the initiation of wave 1, concludes here. Wave 2 retraces about, it looks like here visually, 38.2%. And the same is correct for the bear pattern. So bull and bear doesn't really make a difference. It works both ways. Now, how do we spot a trend reversal? What are some of the characteristics we're looking for to distinguish an outright reversal from a healthy wave 2 pullback? Again, we started with depth for wave 2. Let's start with depth for the reversal. Real reversals, not these wave 2 corrections, but wave reversals can be deeper than typically wave 1, right? Potentially exceeding that 61.8% max fib retracement of wave 1 that you should really be drawing the line at. And obviously, if it breaks the low of wave 1, it's obviously a reversal, but then by then you already know that. The time frame as well, important to consider here. We said wave 2 typically lasts shorter period than wave 1. So by definition, if the wave 2, or what you perceive to be wave 2, is longer in duration than wave 1, you should also have that check mark for a possible reversal. And the volatility feature is here as well. It may exhibit volatility or may increased volatility compared to wave 2 with strong price swings both in the opposite direction of the trend. And the rules of Fibonacci's, of Elliott waves here important because reversals will sometimes break the low of wave 1. And if they do that, the initiation, the starting point of wave 1, so if wave 2 corrects all the way back to that 100% fib of wave 1 or even breaches it goes lower, 110, 115, you know that that's not a wave 2, and you can basically cross off your analysis there with respect to your with your basically identifying wave 1. Okay? And some additional tips to keep in mind that confirmation from other indicators equally is important. We talked about this yesterday and last week using technical indicators like the RSI, like the MACD to help identify potentially overbought and oversold conditions in wave 2, which can signal a pullback rather than a reversal. There are other ways to use RSI and MACD. We'll talk about those in a second. You should also be doing a higher time frame analysis. If you identify wave 1, what you perceive to be wave 1, and you move on your wave 2 analysis, how does it look on a higher time frame? Does it look odd? Does it look is there something suspicious with that? So you always want to look on the higher time frame. If you're charting off the 4-hour, you want to go to the daily. If you're charting on the daily, you want to go to the weekly, etc., to make sure that what you're seeing jives with the higher time frame. And price action patterns at key areas of support and resistance can be important as well. So you're looking in wave 2 for continuation patterns like flags, like pennants, for example, within the wave 2 pullback, within it, suggesting a potential continuation and a move into wave 3. And here's what I'm talking about when I say RSI and MACD, using that for confirmatory indicators with Elliott waves. And one thing we always use RSI for is price action, RSI divergence. So when you have higher highs, for example, being made on the price, but you get these lower highs on the RSI, it could be, a signal that the change of the trend may be coming. And this is what we call bearish divergence. Same thing works in the other way. If we're making lower lows on the price action, but we're making higher lows on the RSI, another thing that you can take advantage of there, that's bullish divergence. That's not the only way to use RSI though. RSI has these levels of 70 to 100, 30 to 0. These are the overbought and oversold conditions. So anything below 30 is considered to be oversold. Anything above 70 is considered to be overbought. What you could do is you could look for the RSI moving out of overbought or coming down out of oversold territory to coincide with the formations, the crests and the troughs of the waves. If they do, and they don't have to be exact, but if they're in the general vicinity, like say, for example, BTC USD started coming out of that oversold territory into say 35 at the same time, it put in, a piercing line or a bullish engulfing, and it's looking like it could be the formation of wave 2. Maybe it's at 50% of the fibs. So you should be looking to see whether all these rules are being checked off or not. Check off as many as you can, and that'll give you, the balance of the evidence. MACD divergence, same thing here. You're looking for low. In this particular case, we're making lower lows, and MACD started making higher lows. So that's bullish divergence, works the exact same way. For the bears as well, you can be bearish divergence as well. But that's not the only way to use MACD. Much like RSI, you can also use MACD for the crossovers that it shows you. So the MACD line and the signal line are the two lines on the bottom over here that you're going to see in addition to the histogram. And when the MACD line crosses above the signal line from south to north, it's usually bullish. Conversely, from top to bottom, from up to down. And you could also be looking to see whether the waves are being made. The initiation, the crests and the troughs of the waves coincide with the MACD crossover. You're looking for that to take place. That is another check mark there. And this is what I was talking about seeing certain patterns at these areas where you anticipate fibs are the reversals to hold up because of fibs. So for example, you've drawn the area of wave 1, that 38.2 to 50%. So you've got a zone that you want to see the buying come in at. So if you see one of these chart patterns in that zone. That's another check mark you got there. So it's like, okay, it looks like it may hold up here. So many different things that you can go through in your checklist to figure out whether you're seeing what you actually think you're seeing or whether there's bamboozlement. So just remember, to conclude, guys, there's no foolproof method whatsoever in these markets. The market can sometimes be ambiguous and most of the time kind of is. However, by understanding these characteristics and using them in conjunction with other technical analysis tools, you can increase your confidence in differentiating wave 2 pullbacks from general trend reversals at era.
Yeah, thank you, Sharif, for going over that. And I think one thing, too, with those, like I said, I think it's really interesting to note that there's all these different elements. We always talk about the balance of the evidence. Shout out to Sean as well, who is currently on jury duty. So jury, Jury, jury duty. Did not say that like a person. Be aware of that. For sure, I'm going to sip some of this coffee because, yeah, these markets are very spicy. And yet, apparently, I'm sitting here like, IWM 222.10 again. Shout out to Rock Dog saying like, oh, you know, you would have had a killing on the trade if you stayed at that initial level of entry. I don't hold, and I find because when I hold, I make bad decisions. Case in point, actually this last IWM trade, which I'm pretty sure, like I said, hiding the P&L, but I'm almost positive this was probably like a break-even type situation because I accidentally added here at words. I accidentally added it to 2109s, 22209s, which is not what I wanted because, like I said, that 222.10 area was a massive area of resistance. Support. We finally break below it. I'm like, cool. 229.90s. I'm like 20 pennies in the money, even with my average position after I got some out. I'm like, cool, peace, chillin'. Then we break above. I'm like, so. Based on my tired trade rules, I definitely could not have correctly answered the question, are you awake enough to get out if it goes against you? It's all good, though. Basically flat on it, and I had a really small position. Happy I tried to stay in to see what happened. I want to see what we did at 40s. We broke above 40s. IWM, shout out to Mahmoud, who was saying flat bottom break. I really thought we'd have it, but IWM, every time we duck our little heads around, near, or below 222.10s, EWM does not care. So didn't get IW massacred. That's always nice, but I do still think that IWM has whatever weird thing it has with that 222.10, and I'm okay with that. If we want to bounce now off 30s, I'll go long. If you want to keep rejecting off 30s, going into that 222.10, I will play it more appropriately as a scalp, and I'll take more size. And that's what we're going to do here with EWM. Still have eyes on EWM. Also proud to hear what I did with Tesla, because like I said, part of the whole no taking tired trades is only taking trades on stocks and levels that I like and that I have reads on. Tesla, I was like, about that 248.20 level, so I took a long there. Only took about 20 pennies. Now, clearly, we've bounced up a good $1.50 on that, but I didn't want to hold because the way we were wrestling with that 248, I know I would have panic sold, that's the past tense of sell, Adara. I would have panic sold, gonna make it a word now, had I stayed in that. So you got to figure out what works there. And you have to figure out, I guess, what type of trader you are and what you're comfortable with. NVIDIA, you want to bounce here above the 90 EMA. I want to be cognizant and cautious before I take this because, like I said, one of my new afternoon trade rules is don't take things you don't have as clear levels on in the afternoon. I mean, that probably, to be fair, this should be a thing in general, but with book scalping, it can be a bit different. That being said, if we hold this one, 1790s, I might take a really small position. I like that we have this bottoming tail candle. I like that we're peeking our little heads above VWAP or the 90 EMA, but the better way to play this, and which actually does adhere to my tired trade rules, is sock sell. Sock sell, which I was having some fun with earlier. Sock sell coming to that previous doji area, poking its little head up above. If we could hold this level, I will take sock sell long. If not, I will take it short here. But I want to see what we do here around these 65s. If we keep pushing these higher lows, if we keep holding this level here on the book, I think we might. You know what? I'm going to get involved here 70s, and I'll add it 65s. Small position. But I think I am seeing some motion in the ocean here to the upside, and I want to swim with sock sell. And sock sell was like, yeah, as you were wiffle waffling and talking, I'm going to pop up without you. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I respect that. I would have rather be patient than gotten into something and had it, not make sense. So if we're able to get 70s, I would love that. At this point, no, I'm okay with 73s because at that point, it literally got to my level and I was 1 penny away. I think there's a difference between chasing and negotiating with the stock to get your level. If we're talking the difference of 2 pennies versus 50, right? Tesla, though, as I wait for sock sell, which I don't think I'm getting, we're going to cancel that order so I don't accidentally get filled. Tesla getting spicy here, but I don't want to necessarily get involved in any trades as I do wait for our auction. We have that auction coming up here very soon. And so we're going to be waiting for that here at the 20-year auction. A couple seconds coming up here. So best buying opportunity, says Elon. Yeah, I think there are definitely some opportunities here. Damien saying she's naturally on 1.25x playback speed. Guess so. Yeah, I guess I am front running YouTube on the playback speed up there. A little bit disappointed I missed SOX L, but if we bounce here off the 90 MA, I'm definitely interested. I don't think I necessarily want to get in a trade before we get that auction anyway. 23 seconds. BAC coming into view up. I'm just eyeing all these potential opportunities in the market. IWM definitely bouncing, so I might want to take advantage of that. Apple chopping and turning, so many things to look at in this market. But Tesla rejecting 250 is maybe the tastiest of those opportunities as of right now. As we wait for that auction reaction, the reauction, what are you looking at?
Google just made it back into the volume weighted average price. Good retracement for there. It's been very strong on the day, to be quite honest with you. There it goes, right into that 181.26 area. Good strength. We'll have to watch whether or not it can continue here or whether this is kind of like the area of resistance for it right now. So we'll keep tabs on that. Right now, good recovery in the market too. Keeping an eye on that as we did get into 20,000. I completely missed that. I wasn't alive to that 20,000 drop, and we, dang it, 20,007.75 is where we got to on the market, and right back down we go. So a lot of bamboozlement right now. On the market, we're at the 20 exponential on the 5 there. So I'm going to take Amazon short here. Let's see if we can wet our beak on some profits at 95s. I've got a beak wetter there at 82s. Topping tail candle on Amazon as it did breach that the 20 period on the 5 as well. So good look. There we go. Nice move there on AMZ. And let's see if we can get a bit more. There we go. So we're printing on that. Nice fill there. Still short on this one at 95s, about 20 pennies in the money on this one. Let's see if we can take it down a little bit more on AMZN. Huge topping tail candle that came in with there. It did actually stop me out initially. Yeah, but that futures trade is the one I guess I missed. That was a really good one there. 20,775 low of day, and it spiked up aggressively into 68. So there was plenty of profits to be had there. On the NQ September contract. But yeah, missed trade. That's all there is to say about that. Leaving this Amazon short, let's see if it can really, use this topping tail candle to full effect here. And we know topping tail candles are typically very bearish patterns. So let's see if we can get eke out a little bit more off this topping tail. Nicely 20 pennies in the money here. Let's see if we can get into 30 pennies. There is some support at 70 pennies though. So I am interested in taking it out here. That's what we'll take it out. So happy with this trade, but there was support at 70. That's why I did decide to take it out there. We had many topping tail candles right into that level as well. So breaking down below this level is Amazon now. So yeah, should have held a little bit more. But yeah, that's a look there. Apple has absolutely done nothing. I want to know, Adam, if you're in the chat, how you're still trading this, because I know that you're likely going to range trade it because it really hasn't given you too much to do. If you're still there, brother, let me know how you did on this one, because it did weasel its way up into 229. But like all I see is bamboozlement on Apple. Even when you zoom in, there's no discernible trend. Like you try to find area tops, but I just think that whatever algo is working on this bad boy today is absolutely, keeping you in a full state of guess, because the levels are changing as quickly as what. So we'll keep that in mind. I'm also keeping a look here on goggles, as I mentioned, because that level is still, what's going on? I thought Randy was here.
I was like, Randy?
Where'd he go? So goggles coming into the volume weighted average price again, and it's not really breaking up above that. So if we do get that rejection on Google after this gnarly green candle, I will be very interested in taking it short. So Google, the strongest of the bunch today, definitely. I think it is actually percentage-wise the strongest. It is, yeah. 1.4% in the red. Next best is, I believe, Softy, 1.76. And then after that is Apple at 2 1/3. So bit of a tougher day, no question, on the markets, at least for the longs. We'll have to keep an eye to see whether that changes or not. Adam, it's boring. I expected more. Now that the NQ has seen a pop, I've got out of it for flat. Shout out to you, Adam. Goes without saying, hope you print. I'm still really disappointed about this futures trade that was so obvious, but I didn't have eyes on it. Use your alerts, guys. Use your alerts. But then, as we expected, you know, that 20,000 wasn't really kind of a springboard for any reversal in the trend. It's just retracements. As you can see here, double top right now forming on the 20 exponential on the 5, and the major retracements on the future. And I don't usually use these moving averages on the future, but you can see here when we breach the 10, we've always maintained a price lower than that 20 exponential, and that goes all the way to the opening print, even as early back as 9:35 when we dipped there, went red right at the bell. The pop up was into the 20 exponential. So there has not been a breach of the 20 exponential on the 5-minute chart today on the NQ September contract. We're down 2 2/3. But again, you know, you hate to see it as a long-term holder, these Meg 7s, but this is a healthy retracement. You have to expect these kind of pullbacks. And often people, you know, like Alfred, he longs for these retracements so that because he has so much conviction in his positions, he likes to add at these areas. So, you know, the bulls can take these days as positive days as well. Maybe not for the P&L, but for generally. Now, let's look at Tesla a little bit here, because this one had been respecting some moving averages. Then there was this area of consolidation, which we know. Sideways movement, not good for moving averages. We know that. Moving averages are good for trend. But here we go, rejecting off the 50 now and making higher lows after this gnarly double bottom. 246.55. I mean, you don't really need to know why the level held up there. It just did. And that's 4 5-minute candles, all of which held up there. And then we moved up a little bit. Is, though, the 50 area or the 250 area, which we haven't had prints above, is that going to be the line in the sand? So we'll have to wait and see if this current 5-minute candle makes a new low below this one. This one already did. So possibly another move down here for TSLA, still above the 10 exponential though. Let's flip to the small cap gappers, see what's afoot with these bad boys. So GFS, I mean, it hasn't done anything since we talked about it last. We talked about global foundries, possibly getting, you know, a good catalyst here because they are a domestic chip manufacturer, much like Intel, catching that geopolitical nice tailwind. But it's done bupkis, essentially, since that opening move up into $62, retracing now. But this could be a multi-day play. Keep your eye on this one. 7.4% in the clear. Not retracing as much as Intel, but I would submit to you, Intel probably more of a day trade stock than GFS is. So maybe that has something to do with it there. Bloom Energy also retracing off the highs. I mean, I feel like I'm saying that about everything, whether or not it's the Meg 7 or the small cap gappers. Nothing really is at highs at the moment. I see this new one, TKNO, which I don't have on my chart. So let's go TKNO over here. This one, okay, it's a small cap gapper, $96 million market cap, 9 1/5 million shares traded on the day. And this one has a float of 10.3 million shares. Let's find out if this one has any notable short float. TKNO. And the short float on this one, 1 1/3%, nothing really to write home about. It is trying to hold above the volume weighted average price at $1.80. Is there a catalyst on this? I don't necessarily see a catalyst. In fact, I don't see anything at all. So possibly a sympathy play. What does this company do? They is a producer of critical reagents for the research, discovery, and development of commercialization therapies, vaccines, and molecular diagnostics. All right. Maybe the biotech tailwind for this one, catching a little bit today. Anyway, not doing a whole lot, guys. I just thought I'd mention it. There is another one too, SDST. Now this one is a little bit better. Okay, so this is a multiple halter, so this could be trouble, right? SDST. This one, what is this? Okay, U.S. Bancorp. Why is a U.S. Bancorp? Stardust Power. Their development stage manufacturer, battery grade lithium. Okay. I'm not sure what the hell this is doing, but it's absolutely rocketing to the high side. It likely will halt here at 2019. This one closed out at $10 yesterday. It's at $20.19 now. Big, huge move, halted 2019. Let's give the details on this one. It's a little bit larger of a market cap, 984 million. It's only done 314,000 shares. So the volume still light on this one. Let's put in the ticker super quick so everyone can follow along. SDST. Sorry, I'll just give you the details on this. So 341,000 shares afloat. Oh my God, that can't be real. 23,000. No, it's got to be something like 100. Yeah, impossible, Neil. 134,000. This is the other number I'm seeing. Let's find out over here. Bring in trade ideas. SDST. Okay, so trade idea says 4.3 million. That makes a bit more sense. No short float, though, that we can glean on this one. Keep your eye out for this one. Halted right now, likely a 5-minute halt. Both prior halts were 5-minute. Let's look at the daily. Is this a former runner? Yes, no, or maybe. Let's see if it's not loading up the daily chart. We're going to have to pack our patience with this one. Sorry. Okay, what the hell is this? Did this thing just show up? Oh, this is a SPAC. Okay. Yeah, Neil booked it right away. So this is a SPAC. Is it still a SPAC or did it de-SPAC? No, it de-SPACed, obviously, because it's telling me what it's doing. So this was a SPAC, obviously. It looks like, I don't know when it de-SPACed, but it looks like maybe right here, yesterday or the day before, I don't know. Hard to tell. Anyway, it's a SPAC. Keep your eye on it. It had a big boy move yesterday. What the hell is this? No, this is the weekly. Sorry, that was last week. Let's flip to the daily here. Is it going to show me the daily or not? All right. I'll have to wait for this to load, Adara, so I'll just send it to you for a second here.
Yeah, so I took 70 pennies on Tesla, but before I talk about that, I want to talk about the auction. And it happened, and we didn't have much of a re-auction, though BAC sold off a little bit there. Auction, 20-year bonds, bond auction, 4.466% versus 4.452% previous, so slightly higher than the previous number. I'm going to get long SOXL, and then I'm going to talk about my Cybertruck, if I may. Actually, no, I'm not going to get long this one yet because I want to see what we do with the 99 EMA. But Tesla, I'm so proud of you, Cybertruck. Like I said, as you know, I have my new tired trade rules, so I didn't want to rush into anything. But then I saw we were hanging out at that 249.20. I like that 20-cent area in Tesla. We waffled. I tried to go short. What did I do here? I don't even know. Oh, yeah, I tried to go long here. That's what I... Yes. No? I don't even... Yeah. Something happened. And this is where we're at. And I must have tried to go long. I went long. Yeah, okay, that's what I did. I went long 249.20s, didn't hold. I got out at 249s. Then I said, Derek, go short 249s. I did get short 249s. I was going to add, just as I was about to add, because I basically get my thing is always going to be if I see a change in the tides, I get out. I was going to add, and then we dropped. And I'm really proud. I got out here right where we bounced, which was that 248.30s, and I had that level because, as I mentioned earlier, I like that 248.20s. We get to 248.30s. I take 30 pennies on Tesla. Wish I had more size, but you're always going to wish for more when you are trading. That's kind of how trading goes. SOXL, though, I'm going to start building a short position. I know I said long, then short, then long, but right now we are below the 90 EMA, and it does adhere to my tired trading rules because I've been trading it earlier, and I have levels on it. If we push above the 90 EMA, that's going to be a no for me, but I will be scalping. I will be adding in and out. Should I get filled here around 49s? Also, there was a super chat earlier from Kyle Burdett, too. One of them was on days like this, like today, I put on Ja Rule Murder and Smile. I'm sure you're very happy with this short today. Shout out to Big Smile Burdett. Also, he tagged this one, and actually, he mentioned you in this super chat.
Oh, I didn't see it.
It is pretty funny. It is.
How do I see the super chats?
You can fan funding. And then it's all there.
There we go.
Yeah, because I saw that one, and I chuckled, and I forgot about it till now, but shout out to Kyle Burdett.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Should I read this out loud?
I don't know if you can, but I wanted you to read it either way because it's pretty funny. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's when we were talking about weight loss drugs.
Big Smile. Look, I think that they actually might come out with that. That's the thing, right? Like, I know you're making a joke, but I think any delivery method system other than injectables will be kind of well received by the consumer. I personally, I think people really hate injecting. I kind of gleaned about this earlier. It's a subcutaneous injection, means it only goes under the skin. Yeah, Ram. Subcutaneous meaning it goes under the skin rather than into the muscle. So those hurt a lot less. It's more like of a pinch rather than, So that's the GLP ones are like that. But I don't think people like dealing with needles, and I get that. So I think anything basically, sorry, live chat, there we go. Anything rather than injectables is going to have a market. All right, ST still halted though, guys. 2019, keeping tabs on this one. Here we go, unhalted now. 17 down. Look at this 16.5. We have a halt level here. It likely will halt at this 16 1/3 there. It pops back up, so it does defend that level. Good move up here for SDST. The bamboozlement is real. It's fast and furious. And by the way, that area that it just dipped into at 16 and basically 2/3, that's the volume weighted average price. So it's held VWAP here. at that level. Let's see if we can weasel into a trade on this one, maybe at 17.5 or something like that. Let's see if it comes back down. Right now, wow, what a move up, right back into 19 and change. But again, it's moving dollars at a time, guys. A little above 19, it dips down into 18 and change. Here comes again 19. What's up?
We just have to vote. Yeah, so get in the chat and vote for whatever ticker you want. INTC, NVDA, any ticker that you choose. GME, maybe AMC. Get involved and have your voice heard. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. Join, exclamation point, join space, $, whatever ticker you want.
Sounds good. Yeah, right up into 19 and a third again. Here comes 19 and a half. Here comes that 20. 2019 is the high of the day, guys. Wow, 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 wow. Let's see if we maybe on the break of the high of the day. So go 2021. 2021. And then if you really want to get in, you're going to have to give this one a bit of room. So we'll give it maybe like 12 pennies. Let's see if that does that. So I'll look to go long on the break of the high today, and then I'll tell you, I'm going to be super quick with how I get out of this. Here we go. Let's see if I get filled first and foremost. I have my suspicions that I won't get filled. Here comes 20, and accumulating. There's definitely an iceberg at 20. It's not breaking through, and there's no size at 20. You can see that. There's a couple of lots there, maybe 15, 20 lots from what it's showing. So I don't think I definitely know that there's an iceberg there. We'll wait and see. No break right now. Accumulating, though, lots of prints near this $20 area, but definitely a seller here or there.
Yeah, I mean, so you know how I was like, oh, I'm going to trade stock sells so I don't have to worry about NVIDIA. Yeah, so someone decided to trade both at the same time. That someone is me. And then I added into NVIDIA. I stand by this, though. I don't stand by my point of entry. I got involved just as below that 90 MA where we waffled, but I do stand by the addition. I added because we can't break above 117. 118, I was going to say 117, but it's 118. Basically, the reason I got involved initially, we're below the 90 MA, we're kind of chopping, we're kind of churning, but weirdly, NVIDIA is stronger than SOXL here, which is kind of bizarre. I'm going to start planning to exit if we nicely stay below here, but I mean, NVIDIA, if you can't even get back to like low 80s, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? So I want to watch out for that. I'm like 25 pennies in the money here in SOXL. Already took out half the position, but I don't even want to really leave this NVIDIA alone because I do not like, if we're bouncing off 90s, NVIDIA, I can't play with you anymore. This is getting really choppy and really tricky. NVIDIA is moving with the businesses I don't like. Shouldn't have got involved in that in the first place, especially adding the size I did. But NVIDIA outperforming SOXL as we have that attempt to break above 118 in NVIDIA. SOXL here still breaking lower. Could add to this position, arguably should have added to this position instead of doing Lord knows what with NVDA. Currently 25 pennies in the money. I don't want to leave yet. I want to be cognizant of the fact we could be forming a higher low. You know what, Adair? Leave. Get out. Please just punch there. Took about 25 pennies on the dot on SOXL. Definitely got chopped up for reasons on NVIDIA, but IWM back to 222s. So this breaking into 221 could always do something for me. If we get to that 222.10s and reject, you guys know how much I love that level. Do you know how much smoke I want? It's a lot of smoke. It's actually all the smoke. We're going to start at 222. Okay, 222.10s. Let's see. But yeah, make sure you do this as well here. Get involved. If you want to be a part of this community, go in that chat, right? Because we want you all to be here. It's a great community. Go in that chat right now. So that's the vote. Vote. Do that thing.
Do that thing.
Subscribe. And because you can't be a part of your chat if you're not subscribed.
Nope.
So if you want to chat
can't.
and if you want to be able to vote and do all that other cool stuff, definitely join us here in our chat. I should not have gotten short IWM. Big yikes for me. But how are you doing over here?
Good. We did.
Was that Obi's face randomly on? Oh my God. Okay, Nev.
She's putting you on blast on camera there. Yeah, I think you might need to beef Ram. Fabian.
It was Fabian, apparently.
How is Fabian going to do that when he's on that side of the desk, Ram? Okay. All right. I got long on Apple. I took a couple of trades right now. One on Amazon, one on Apple. I'll talk about both of them. This was an area hold here on AAPL. So we had been coming out to the bottom consolidation area. And like I was telling Adam, I felt like this was really a bit of a range on Apple, but indeterminate levels, kind of. After staring at it for a little bit, you kind of glean where the levels are. So the fifth of a dollar really seemed to be one that was coming in a lot. I'm talking about this one, and 3 different stops right at that fifth. 228.20, got long, took it out nicely towards the higher 40s for almost a 30 penny winner. Right now it's breaking again though into 50, so could have held this a little bit longer, no question. I still have a resting order, Fabian, at this area over here at 220 and change on SDST. I'm looking for a high day break on this one. It's up 94%. It's running like a monster, and it's not retracing either to the downside. It's hanging out near the highs, accumulating, I'm assuming, between 19 and 20, but look how it's trading. It jumps to 19 and then it moves up into 1940s. I've got a 13 penny spread on this. I'm willing to bet you I don't get filled. I'm just putting it out there for you know what and giggles to see exactly whether I get filled or not. Hey, if it get filled and we move up, we'll move up. No problem there. AMZN took this bad boy long, but I'm happy I covered the long earlier than I had anticipated. We took about 20 pennies on this one, but it did break down and make a newer low. So I'm happy I didn't hold this one against me. Alas, though, I didn't have this 186.20 charted over here as a level of support because it's right back into 186.80. So it's giving you well over 60 pennies there as it retraces to the north side again. However, keep in mind that even though this looks great, a retracement, still putting lower lows and lower highs, not necessarily lower lows, sorry, but certainly lower highs. Each successive crest is a little bit lower than its predecessor, which is obviously not the look you want if you're looking for a mean reversion trade, because then the trend to the downside is still intact. Let's flip back here to SDST. Still the accumulation, the dance right now between 19 and 20 happening. However, look at this now. We're getting sequentially lower highs on SDST. The bottom is still holding out generally in the 19 area. You're getting breaches of it now into the high 18s. However, what's more telling for me is the sequentially lower highs. And we know there's a lot of people that want to short this monster at the high, no question about it. The mean reversion trade that Obi talks about, the reversion being mean, this, that, and the other. The point is that there is a trading setup based upon this kind of look where we get into extended highs and then we ride it back down for a $3, $4, $5 winner. That is a trade, no question about it. It's one that I don't take as a result of having to get shorts for this, and I don't like having shorts and feeling like I need to use them kind of thing. So keeping an eye on this one, SDST, good look there. Let's look at the Meg 7 and see what is changing. Any winds of change coming on said Meg 7. Well, the futures is right at the 20 exponential again, but most notably, we still have a lower highs on that one, so nothing's changed. But we do possibly have a double bottom. Again, that 20,000 point level we kept talking about earlier as an area to defend. It's coming twice. I've taken neither. First one was 20,700. The second one was 20,700, 20,007, 20,010. And here we are right back into the 20 exponential on the 5 above the 50-point level. But to change the trend, which is lower lows and lower highs, we have to get something above 20,070 on a closing basis. We do that, then I think we may see something different. But I got my suspicions on the day that we trend up at all. I just feel like this is going to be a decidedly red day. Back to Apple, because we were trading this one on a range. It just breached the volume weighted average price and then it comes back down again. Your guess is as good as mine where the top end of the range is. There's so many different levels. The bottom end seems to be a bit more discernible at that $1/3 of a dollar to a $1/5 of a dollar. This one, though, to the top side, you have far more range. So you have that 228.70 where VWAP is hanging out. Sometimes it rejects off there. Then you have outlying candles like this one at 12.55 that goes all the way up to 229. So yeah, a lot of bamboozlement to the top side of the range on Apple. I would submit to you, though, that there is a bit more consistency in the lower end of the range towards that 228 and a $1/5 a day.
Yeah, I've been cycling between 3 ETFs this afternoon to look at and to trade. One of them is EWIM, one of them is SOXL, and the other one is the SPY. I'm going to quickly go over my levels, and then we'll do that last lesson of the day here. SPY here below the 90 EMA, definitely rejecting off 30s. Last time we got here, rejected at 30s, bounced off 557, so you got about a 30 penny range. We also have SOXL, which I'm really happy with what I did here on these. I've only had 3 SOXL trades, but they've all worked out okay. So I did have that short off that 9 EMA rejection. Then we popped back into 9 EMA. We make higher lows. We've continued to make higher lows. It did take about 5 pennies, and this could have gone like up to like 12, but I just wasn't scalpy enough. I think the IWM is pausing, but I would also pause it. Pun kind of intended. I would posit that NVIDIA is outperforming the IWM. I mentioned this earlier, but maybe it's like leading the IWM because this same patterns as IWM with these higher highs, higher lows, but they also hit sooner than the IWM. Like I was short stock sell profitable and short NVIDIA, and I lost on that. And so they don't always move necessarily together. NVIDIA might be like outgrowing its family. It's like, I'm too cool for you guys. I'm moving to New York and living in a studio loft to be a starving artist. So NVIDIA living its own life a little bit compared to its SOX L peers, worth noting. Also, IWM continuing to waffle with that 222.
Did you mean SMH?
Pardon?
Did you mean SMH?
I did mean SMH.
Oh,
you said SOX L? What did
you
I
were saying IWM. Yeah.
I just said IWM now. Sorry, yeah. But
no, before that. You were saying,
sorry about that.
I just wanted to make sure people understood what
I meant that SMH.
That's what I figured you meant.
Thank you. Yes, sorry. My brain is like frazzled. I've been trading it through SOX L because I find the spread better. But yeah, so, but it is the SMH. So yeah, NVIDIA outperforming its SMH family. Thank you for clarifying on that. Sorry,
no worries.
Scrambled cheese.
No worries.
Scrambled cheese. It's scrambled. But IWM continuing to have this dance with the 222s. We're going to see where it is in its waltz when I get back from that lesson of the day. But also thank you to hold me back, exclamation point, for 5-month member chat. #1 lunch stream by far. Thanks for keeping me hungry for more. Pun. See what I did there? Yes, I do. Shout out to hold me back. Definitely don't want to hold you back from the puns because I am enjoying them. And y'all insert your name here.
Okay, so I'm long SDST. I'm long at 2033. It's halted at 2112. Sorry to interrupt you. I need to see exactly where the halt parameter, where is the tap? The tap is at 22 now. So right now I am $1.70 in the money. We're going to see where the tap opens up SDST. I didn't think I'd get filled. I got to tell you the truth, quite frankly, on this one. So I have to put a market on open order, which I totally forgot how to do on my keyboard in order to get out here. So when did we halt? 1 second. We halted at 134 and change over here. I should be able to see it over here. No, what the hell is it doing? Just a second. Yeah, so 134.33, 124. So we just actually halted about a minute ago. So yeah, so this one should be open at 129.33. If it is to be a 5-minute halt, it's halted 5 minutes most of the time here. But if it is to be a 5-minute halt, it should open up at 129.33 Adara. So I just want to let anybody know that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So shout out to Sharif there with that trade. Hope you print, as we always do there. And for now, though, we're gonna transition here, take a little bit of a turn in the tides. Also, yeah, I am long EWIM. We bounced off the 2210, so I'm just watching that on the side. But right now we're going to watch, just to address the position board, but right now we're going to talk about these waves. So let's talk about wave 2. Yesterday we talked about wave 1, and wave 1 really helps you discern, is this a trend? What is going on? How do you discern between wave 1 and other noise in the market ocean? But now we're going to talk about wave 2 because correctly identifying a wave 2 pullback is really important, and it separates the energetic wave 1 from the powerful wave 3. So do you know if we're just getting a brief pause in the trend, or is the trend over? Well, this is what this can help you find out. So let's talk about why wave 2 is so important. Well, for one, it can be a healthy correction. It's a natural and healthy price retracement following the initial thrust, the power that we get in wave 1. It also sets the foundation for wave 3 because a well-defined wave 2 can give you the opportunity to be prepared for your last impulse wave. You know, literally it says in the name, wave 2 is a corrective wave, right? Impulse versus corrective. So it is going to be a little bit more calm, a little bit more chilled, lower key, no caffeine, just a kind of a chill moment here in the market and in your trend. And it also does give you some trading opportunities that are, of course, worth noting as well, because if you're able to identify that wave 2 pullback, it can present a buying opportunity for the continuation of the trend. So let's talk about what this wave 2 pullback is and also distinguishing a wave 2 from a reversal. Well, it's not always going to be perfect. There's a couple differences that can help you discern and distinguish between a wave 2 and a trend reversal. Wave 2 pullback, so depth. So you really, we're typically going to see a retracement between 38.2% and 50% in these Fibonacci retracements of wave one. However, it can extend up to 61.8% in certain cases. The time frame is going to matter too. The time frame is shorter than wave one. If you see the corrective versus impulse waves, it is going to be a little bit shorter. And then last but not least, volatility or volatility. If you're trading Lily, which we know was active today. Shout out to Ethan in the chat for asking about my old pal, Mademoiselle. But volatility is going to be less so in wave two than with wave one. And it might have some more choppy or corrective price movement than that impulsivity, the big intense wave. So what about Elliott wave rules? So you want your waves to follow specific Elliott wave rules, hence why they're called Elliott waves, right? You don't want it to exceed the starting point of wave one for a downtrend or retrace below the swing low of wave one in an uptrend. Those are kind of some rules you want to see behaving. So is Randy here?
No, I don't know why she does that, Ram. It's a Chilean nightmare, apparently.
So here we go. Fabe. I think Fabian and the wave and the fib combined. I said Fabe. I apologize. I mean wave three fib extensions. So you might want to see here this wave two coming into some fib retracements, and then you see as well some other potential areas for the waves as well through fibs, right? So you can see that we have this retracement, and it does give you a little bit of confluence if you are in wave two. So here's some examples too of wave two, new failed highs or lows. So this is going to be confirmed if you fail to make your new high in a downtrend, because you do want to see that a bit less of a sharp wave, and then the failed new low, you're in your waves. You see that you have not made a lower low because you want that smaller move in wave two than you have in wave one. Good times. And here's a couple different variations of wave two. We talked about these in more details last week. A little bit of zig and a little bit of zag, the zigzag wave, and then also the flat wave. You're going to want to see a couple different variations here, things to be aware of. So in case you don't get a perfect, quote unquote, perfect textbook Elliott wave, there's other textbooks you can look at, like the zigzag or the flat. Neil Roberts wants to learn more about the Fabian wave. I'm really sorry there for baiting you. Unfortunately, it does not exist. Unless you are trying to say wave and fib at the same time while you hear the name Fabian said. That's how you get that's the wave, I guess. Let's talk as well about the trend reversal. So the depth is worth noting here. If you're not seeing a wave two pullback and you're instead seeing reversal, some things to look for will be depth. The reversal and that pullback is going to be deeper than a typical wave two, and it might actually exceed the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement. What about the time frame? Your time frame for wave two can be longer than wave one. It might actually take weeks or months to unfold, and volatility is worth noting as well. It might exhibit some increased volatility compared to wave two, with strong price swings in the opposite direction of the trend, because it is going to be it's an actual trend reversal, right? It's not just part of your ongoing trend. It's actually saying, no, I don't want to hang with this trend. That's what it's saying. So that's something to be definitely cognizant of. Now it also will be breaking the rules, because it's not part of your Elliott wave trend, so it does not care. Rules are meant to be broken if you're breaking a trend. It might break key support and resistance levels on this faux wave, the fake wave two, that you established in wave one, or it might violate Elliott wave rules, like exceeding the starting point of wave one. So it's going to be more intense than what you would see in a traditional wave two. So here's some additional tips here as well. You might want some confirmation from other indicators, because we always say the more confirmation, the better. As Sharif always says, the balance is the evidence. So that's what you want to see. I was waiting for that. I've been pretty good with that button, I have to say. I've shown a lot of self-restraint. But so basically, you might want to see some example technical indicators like RSI or MACD to identify the potential overbought or oversold conditions in wave two, which can signal a pullback rather than a reversal. You also might want to see higher time frame analysis, analyze trend direction on a higher time frame to assess the overall trend direction and strengthen your wave identification, and also price action as well, right? You want to look for some continuation patterns like flags or pennants within the wave two pullback to suggest a potential continuation of the trend. So here's some example of that RSI divergence. You get that bearish divergence, and that's going to, of course, be a bit of a sign here. And then same with MACD divergence. We talked about these more in detail in previous lessons, but you do have those signs that, hey, we actually are seeing that wave one. So if you have your wave one confirmed, as Sharif was saying yesterday, I want to shout that out for the lesson preparation. And also for that point, if you have your wave one identified, it's a lot easier to see wave two, because you know you've got all your ducks in a row and you've dotted your I's and you've crossed said T's. What about, not AT&T, but just T's in general? Let's look as well about these bullish continuation patterns, right? If you see some of these in confluence with your wave two, and you've already confirmed your wave one, that's going to give you some more strength to do these trades. So, but you want to remember there's no foolproof method, and the market can sometimes be ambiguous, as Strafe was denoting earlier. It's actually kind of what it's known for, is ambiguity. It likes to trip you up. It likes to play with your feelings. But by understanding some of these characteristics and using them in conjunction with other technical analysis tools, you, too, can increase your confidence in differentiating Wave 2 pullbacks from trend reversals. Going to end sounding like a PSA. But also, I did laugh here at Kyle Burdett saying to Neil it will be months before he can do the wave.
He thought you blocked him.
I did not block him. I was laughing at the super chats earlier. I just read one.
I know. I told him. I'm like, she wouldn't do that. It looks like the market jumped up here, and this is the level we were talking about on the future. So this is the higher low that we're putting in. We're not really decidedly above it now, but it looks like we are marching our way up. There we go, into 75. So it looks as if we did put a higher low. Now it's just about where we mean revert to, I kind of feel. Tesla's popping up. There's a lot of strength in the Mag 7 now, guys. Here we go. Amazon's popping up. We had Meta pop up as well into the 10 exponential. Microsoft strong. Tesla's going. Nvidia's going. So here we go. The futures, the winds of change. It looks like maybe coming in for the moment. It's just about how we weasel into this, or whether we encounter resistance at these levels. I'm seeing Meta is not breaking above the 10 exponential right now, but it looks like not Amazon, but looks like Tesla and Nvidia both on their way to VWAP here. We already breached VWAP on Softy, and we're at it as well right now on Google. So good strength on the future, but can we get continuation? I mean, we've been weak all day, so it's just kind of hard to shut your mind off and be like, hey, we're going to pop up now. But look, if we hold up, we hold up, right? So this is the area crest over here. I'd like to see if we can continue to hold at this level. I'm on the TQQs right now because I like the natural. Let's see if we can get in here a little bit. So we do get long at 23s. Let's see if we can continue up into ones, 20,100. There's likely going to be a little bit of zig and a little bit of zag. I don't mind adding at 75.05 to hold this area crest. In fact, let's put that area right now. I'm going to sit at 06s to see if we can get that and defend it a little bit. I'm seeing a lot of strength coming on the name, so you figure it may translate into the future as well. So where do I want to take it out, though? So if we do claim this area and we continue moving up 20,100, hard to see what that level would be on the TQQs, but looking for strength, even though, knowing that it's a weekday, so worried about the mean reversion failing here and the kind of becoming short the pops kind of situation. So let's see if we can get that DCA around 75.06, and then we do get it now. It's going to have to hold above 74.95. Otherwise, I'm going to get out of this one, and it's already dropping quite aggressively. So it is a kind of short the pops kind of day. At least that's what it feels like at the moment right now. So we'll have to wait to see if this 74.95 area can hold. Otherwise, I got to get out of this one. I'm seeing more red, sadly, come in on the future, right? Well, not on the future, but on the Mag 7 name. So you're seeing some weakness here come in on a Meta at the 10 exponential, likewise topping tail candle at VWAP, well, almost at VWAP on Amazon. You're getting some red candles showing up as well on Nvidia as well as Microsoft. So even though it's a nice little pop there, we're only like 3 pennies out of the money. The fact of the matter is we may not get the continuation. It's not about breaking even, really, it's about profiting. So we'll have to keep an eye on see whether or not we can weasel our way up here. All right, now we're in the money. We'll hope ever so briefly. Softy not really showing me too much in the way of red candles. Tesla's really going here, guys. Tesla is not the one that I think is holding back this market. 250, 70 incoming. It looks like it wants to get to that 252 possibly, or 251.75, where the volume weighted average price is on Tesla. So keep packing my patience right now, trying to see if we do get that continuation. Nice bump up, but very cognizant of the fact that it could be a short the pipes kind of day, Adara.
Yeah, it's certainly been an interesting day in the market. I'm still looking at, Soxal. Soxal, don't do this to me. Okay, yeah, we're going to get involved in Soxal. I'm going to stop making weird sounds. I like these bounces here off the 90 EMA. Don't think I'll get my fill. Smaller-ish position because it is later in the day. And as I said, adhering to the tired trade rules, which are just my own made-up rules for me taking trades after 1 p.m. And we get in, and Soxal does drop L a little bit. So hopefully we can turn this into a Sox W. Currently, well, I'm acting so dramatic. I'm like flat on it, whatever. But we did have that drop into 50s. I wanted to see us continue to hold these higher lows. I'd love to see us bounce off off these 50s, stay bouncing off the 90 MA. I'm willing to add to this if I see like a nice discernible bounce, because like I said, what I've been really doing in terms of my risk to reward and how I format my positions is I've been tilting away less from the, 3-to-1, whatever, the ratio model, and more into, are you seeing things you like in the book? Is your strategy being confirmed? Because I find when I try to adhere to these specific price levels, that's when I get really chopped up. Obviously, I would like to see 80s, because even though we have higher lows, we still have lower highs. So if we can see 80s, that's great. Right now, SOXL bouncing off of these 55s areas, giving me a lot of confidence. And as I say that, SOXL's like, oh, Darren, you want to see me drop below? I'm like, who said that? I didn't say that, SOXL. I do not love what we're doing here at 55s at all, but I'm not seeing anything to get me out either, so I'm gonna stay on this for now. Patience is a virtue that I lack, I sorely lack. Okay, but as we drop here below 50s, that's gonna be the sell signal there. If SOXL will let me SOXL, come on now, SOXL. Should have definitely gotten out earlier. I should have been more comfy risking like 5 pennies and, instead of being all stubborn or whatever, stuck to my idea. That's something I learned on this. That's a little bit disappointing. And always, but I think that's the whole point of trading live in these markets is you learn lessons in real time that you can't learn from just sitting and watching, right? Or from, I think also when you have real money on the line, it's always gonna be different from learning in the sim. SOXL will not let me leave. Okay, SOXL wants to kidnap me. That's fine. Definitely probably lost a little bit compared to how I was doing the trade earlier, but also this might be a better entry. That 54.30s bounce. So all good there. Should have gotten out the second I got sketchy. That is an L for me. Michael Moore, thank you for the $2 super chat. Tesla one-day chart, bullish or bearish diamond pattern. Do you know the diamond pattern?
I do not.
I do not know that. I'm going to have to look up the diamond pattern, but I will look up the daily chart here for Tesla. Thank you. Not for Tesla, for Tesla, but for Michael Moore. Thank you very much, Michael, again, for that literally super chat. Let's pull this bad boy up, to use a Sharifism. Okay, I see what I think diamond pattern, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but are you talking about this? This looks like a bull flag. A little bit. But I want to contextualize this bull flag. We're getting a pseudo bull flag here in Tesla. And by that I mean we're kind of getting a bit of a diamond, a bit of a triangle here. We're getting this pseudo bull flag. But as he said earlier, or I think yesterday when I looked at this chart, the Tesla daily chart for someone, we have these lower highs here. And a lot of this is wick basis. We have a lot of topping tail candles on the Musk man's stock. Also worth noting, we have not one, not two, but now 3 attempts and failures to decisively break above 265. So I still think that 265 is a level of resistance. Like I said yesterday, I want a nice close above 265 for a couple days, support that level, and then we'll see what happens. Trump Corp in the chat. I think Adara is also good at rapping, smiley face. I don't know about that, but shout out to you. Thank you for that. Let's take a look at DJT because your name is reminding me of Donald John Dump or Donald John Pump, depending on the day. To kind of paraphrase Sharif's nickname for that stock. Okay, DJT. I wanted to do a pushback, but there's not really anything to push back here. We might be getting a baby bull flag. We have that push up here, and now we're chopping and churning here. Nice support forming at 36, so that's not a bad level. But also keep in mind, we are rejecting that previous base that we broke down from around 37.10. That's something to note. Also, I don't have no transition for this, but I want to see what's happening in Bank. Actually, I do, because DJT, President, let's look at Bank of America. Let's take a look at America here. We're below VWAP still, but making higher highs, higher lows. This 44 area could be interesting, but I don't have a read on it. I just wanted to look at it because I haven't in a while. Tesla hanging out around that 250s could be an interesting trade. NVIDIA pulling back a bit. Happy to go to the SOXL long while I did. Wow. And IWM still strong. So what a day it's been here. SPY, though, higher highs, higher lows. I like your idea of trading futures right now.
Yeah. All right. So we're done the trade on SDST. We went long at 20.30 and got out at 21.30 exactly. So I'm happy with this trade, but as you can see, it got up a lot higher. So that 21.30 exit it looked pretty bad after the halt, but you got to understand, I was caught in the halt, so $1 to me seemed like a good deal, but there it is, 25, and now it's bull flagging a little bit again at that level. So keep your eye on this one. You know, I didn't get the full fill here. Sadly, it was only a partial fill, but we'll keep tabs on that. Yeah, the futures bamboozled me a little bit. I got in, could have, broken even, but that wasn't really the move. It's all the way back down. I saw Dan tag me in the chat. He's like, look, man, the ES is right back to the IB low, and more accurate he could not be because the bottom dropped off there, even though there was breaches of higher lows and the lower lows. Sorry, the lower highs. It made a new high on the ES or the NQ, which had me coming in to the trade. But again, feels like it's always going to be a short to pop kind of day today on these Meg 7 names. So we'll keep an eye on that. Still tougher trading for me today. No question about it. It's been a tougher week for me trading. Had a couple of good trades, but still negative on the day. Looking to basically get out of negatory land. So we'll keep tabs on this one. Microsoft just dropped into the volume weighted average price and got a nice bid there. So if you were sitting with a resting order, hope you printed on that. I still don't think the future is done, especially if we start curling back up here. So this will be a higher high and a higher low. I think I just might have had the wrong entry. So unless we come back to test 20,000 again, if we find a trough on the future, and I'm not sure exactly where, because it's not really respecting any of these moving averages or anything that I'm using today, essentially. But if we do put in a higher low, I'm very interested in taking the long on the future right now, but definitely not right now. Like today, but not right now. So we'll keep tabs on that. All right, what are you guys talking about there in the chat? Hopefully our group did not fire sale this morning, says Elon. Kassan wants to look at CETU, not a name that I'm very familiar with. Cetus Capital Trust Acquisitions. Yeah, okay, so this is popping up here. It looks like it's a small cap gapper. Halted at 961, up 74%. Why isn't this on my list? Oh, it's traded 160,000 shares. Let's bring in the side chart over here. CETU. This is like kind of the SDST. Good look. Let's look at the 1 minute and see how this one halted. So this was doing like very, very little volume. Then the volume is really coming in at the second halt. So the first up halt was over here at 135. 5 minute halt at around 8 1/4. Now this one's, we'll see if it's a 5 minute halt at 9 2/3. So good strength on this name, guys. Good call out there by the individual. Forgot his name. CETU, keep that on your list. It's still not showing up on my chart just because the volume is not meeting the minimum volume standards that I have at the moment. So keep your if you want to trade these small cap gappers, keep tabs on that. Still keeping an eye on the future in the Meg 7. I feel like Microsoft's definitely got the strongest look right now. It's holding above VWAP, even though it retraced off that 442.5. I feel like Microsoft did hold up at VWAP and catching a bit of a bid now. So Microsoft, obviously the second largest company and second largest weight in the NQ. So, well, I think it might, I don't know if it's the second largest or not. It's not as big as Apple at the moment, but we shall see. Let's see what we're doing here with the Qs. So let's see if we can get in a little bit over here. What are we doing? Are we catching a bit of a bid? This is going to be the higher low. Just thinking about what I'm going to do in the Qs, keeping an eye on Softy as well, keeping on some other names. I'm going to give it a try here at 75. We'll get out if it breaks 70. Where do we get long at 76? Okay, so we'll give it a bit of room into 78. I'm going to give this a shot. What are you looking at, Adair?
Yeah, I mean, I have my afternoon trade checklist, and yet I still have my ongoing recurring struggle. My Atlas Atlas holds up the world. Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill is me trading after like 12:30. And I need to work on my checklist more. I just think I'm definitely rushing into things. I'm getting way too in my head. And honestly, even for my whole afternoon checklist thing, it wasn't even a P&L thing, though I think that's part of it. But it's like my issue is if you're doing well in the morning and crashing in the afternoon, mitigate that. So now, trying to take trades only on stocks that I had levels on, but I'm just not trusting my instincts enough. This IWM was probably the least objectionable trade I've taken in a little bit. I like this 222.60 level. Took some shorts in it earlier. We had topping tail candles, but I don't love my point of entry. And the second I saw stuff on the book, like we couldn't break back below the level, I got out. This SPY, though, grr. I get long here off the 90 MA, and we also had those bounces on the candles. I could have gotten like 15 pennies on this. I didn't sell fast enough. Adara, you're a scalper. Remember to scalp. There's been quite a few trades today that would have been gone better had I just trusted myself more. And one of those is going to be this Soxal disaster. I should have been able to get out of this way sooner, but I kept panicking, wasn't able to get out. Speaking of Soxal, though, man, if this thing wants to reject that 54, continue to make these lower highs. I'm going to try to get involved in this, but I don't want to chase either. I think Soxal, as Sharif said, it's a short the pop kind of day. I need to be doing that more effectively. And Soxal's a trade This one is a stock I had levels on earlier, so I feel like it does fit my afternoon checklist, which is something I still want to refine and make better opportunities so I can make more appropriate trades. Let's take a look, though, at voting. Whatever tickers you want. You guys have 2 seconds. No, you have 2 minutes left. 2 seconds to be intense. Go in the chat, exclamation point, join, space, $, whatever tickers you're fancy. You guys know what tickers you like. Maybe it's Dow, maybe it's DIA. But either way, if you really traded it, this segment is brought to you by Real Trading. Even if you didn't trade it, even if you're just curious, you can, I just wanted to pun, you can get in there and you can go in that chat and you can go exclamation point, join, space, $, whatever tickers you're fancy. You have 2 minutes left, not 2 seconds, as I said earlier, erroneously. And you have I almost said 2 seconds again, 2 minutes to vote. Get those votes in. Make sure your voice is heard. And as Sharif said, you can campaign if you want. You can get your buddies to vote with you.
Absolutely.
Sirius made the list the other day, so I think some campaigning might have happened
there. I had no idea what was
get
going
involved
on there.
And make sure your voice is heard in the chat.
All right, so trying to catch this bottom on the future, we could have taken like a nice 20 penny winner, took out 11 for the first one, still holding a beak wetter, looking for a move back in, but it's really Softy here that's keeping the market afloat. Softy is the strongest of the names right now. You're getting a bit of a bid in NVIDIA as well, but it's still very much below 119. If I can get something in like 95, 74, 95, I think I'd cover before the whole dollar in and around there. So let's put the beak wetter there. But yeah, again, I think Adara just kind of echoed the sentiment that I've had the majority of the day, which is it's been a short pops kind of day. So if you're trying to look for something, you're grasping at straws, don't be like me. Look to short the pops, even though you may think you're seeing like these trends happening. So even though Softy's strong, NVIDIA caught a bit of a bid, Meta putting in a higher low right now above 462. The future's really not cooperating at these levels. I'm unsurprised. So we'll see if we get anything in the mid 90s. I'll take it out there. We're already in the mid 80s here. Just take it out here. But I do see some green on these Mag 7 names, so I don't want to take it out. As I said, Meta put in a bit of a higher low at 462. It's working its way in to 463. It's still below the 10, still below the 20, but it was really this bottoming tail candle that caught my attention over here, this hammer candle, which could, be the signal of change. I don't know. There's also Microsoft, like I keep mentioning, moving up near that 442.5. So good strength coming in there, but it's not enough to lift up these markets. So we're not getting the pop on the future. So I'll take the rest out for like 5 pennies there. I'm just going to leave it because I feel like, the future is going to come right back down as we talk now. But that's just the funny thing is, though, that Softy's still moving to the high side, but the future's coming down. So maybe is this a short here on the future? I'm just looking to see if we make a lower high. That's the whole thing here. All right, Jeremy Newman, can you take a quick look at Longeveron gap fill 350 yesterday? Any news this morning? There was Longeveron today, actually, because they had an Alzheimer's thing for mild Alzheimer's. And the reason I know that is because Saba Sciences was kind of on not a good look for them because of...
very bad look for them.
Yeah. So let's look at LGVN. So he wants to know about 350. Let's go. What was it quick? Can you take a look at the LGVN gap fill 350 yesterday and news this morning? So let's see. 350 gap fill. So we closed out yesterday at 350. We consolidated there for the majority of the afternoon. Then basically at 8 a.m. this morning, we rocketed up on that catalyst. So here's the catalyst. Longeveron shares are trading higher after the company announced that the FDA has granted fast track designation for its Lomas LB for the treatment of mild Alzheimer's disease. And that's been the look. 488 high, 407. It's holding 4. Jeremy, that looks good. But what do you need me to see? Take a quick look. Well, there isn't much to say, Jeremy. I mean, looks like basically we're holding as the bottom end of the consolidation, either that $4 level, which we keep closing above, even though we wick below it. And it seems to be that pre-market consolidation area top that we had yesterday before we broke down into that, as you astutely put it, 350. And then if you even look before that pre-market action that we had yesterday, look at the consolidation area bottom that we had on the 15th. So that was $4, generally $4. So I think that's basically all that's happening here. You're holding a previous area of support. You're holding that same area. So let me know how it goes, obviously. That's the 15-minute chart. Let's look at the 5, see if we can glean anything over here. Yeah, I'd be honest with you, I like the higher lows. Let's see if it's a second day play tomorrow, but definitely below the volume-weighted average price, not tradable as a breakout, but there does seem to be a bit of a range when you zoom in between that 415 and $4. So if you want to trade it for 15 pennies with size as a range, there's nothing wrong with doing that either. So LGVN, good look on the day. Pretty Panda, we gonna ignore the flag on Zap again? I might. Too much stress. Let's look at Zap.
I like that. Sometimes you do have to ignore stuff if you just can't play.
Right?
I really, thank you. I like that, Pretty Panda.
Yeah, it's actually a good call. What?
Being Delulu.
I don't know what that means.
So being delusional is the solution. Being Delulu is the Solulu. Shout out to Lululemon and also shout out to Ramin for making us laugh here. Shout out to Ramin and Fabian, seriously, for everything they do.
Of course.
Zap.
But I don't see a bull flag, Pretty Panda. I mean, are you talking on the day? Because on the 5-minute, I don't see a bull flag. Let's look at the 1 quickly here. Okay, is this what you're talking about? Like this 115 pump that we pump up and then we kind of consolidate sideways? Because it's just not doing enough on the day. You know, with these small cap gappers, I got to tell you, Pretty Panda, that, you know, they've got to be doing volume. It's got to be like a first or second day play. I know Zap's been on our watch list for, not our watch list, but on our scanner for a while now. And yeah, the volume is really not there. So I wouldn't trade Zap personally on the day unless, again, it was a range. Okay, clearly, right now it's broken above the volume weighted average price. It had trouble with it earlier. So if you're going to take a dip, I'd be looking something at 1450, excuse me, to defend the volume weighted average price, which we know is an area crest from previous. So shout out to you. No problem, Jeremy. Thank you, sir. Playing swing right now. Just have to keep my patience. Yeah, man, patience definitely very important in this game. Dare, I've got a couple of minutes left before we head on to the green screen. Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I know patience is very important in this game. Throw to the least patient person here on these desks. But no, I am. Yeah, I think sometimes too, part of it as well, and I want to shout out Sharif because he said this to me. This was huge for me. It's like, being patient is really important, but also understand if you're not patient, maybe adjust your trading style to that potentially, and that's why I scalp. That's why I got to go to this EWM. I initially got into IWM, which is the Russell 2000, because we were holding below that 222.30 area really well. I liked it. I was like, let's get involved. We broke below 222.20s. I got out, so lost like 7 pennies here. Not too shabby, but I probably shouldn't have rushed into it either. Like I said, need to work on trading less in the afternoon. But that being said, if you see opportunities, you should take them. I got 50 pennies here in SOXL to end the day, which I was pleased as punch about. I got involved because we had that A, that 90 EMA rejection. B, we had this previous area here around 54.20s, 54.25s. That was a bit of area of support. Look at that topping tail candle. I watched the book. I said, Adara, you're comfortable. Take this short. SOXL is how I've been kind of playing NVIDIA because they're moving sort of similarly. Though I did find earlier, and I'm going to check if this is still the case, I found earlier that NVIDIA has weirdly been a bit stronger than its family, SOXL or SMH, I guess. But yeah, right now they're both kind of below that 90 EMA. So this could be an interesting area for NVIDIA if it doesn't give it to me here on SOXL. I prefer to trade NVIDIA. I like trading my mega caps, but SOXL I found I had a bit of a better read on today. So I'm happy I trusted that because you're not going to be able to read like Moby Dick or, a giant Shakespeare play every day. You can only read what you are capable of reading. So yeah, weird analogy aside, SOXL here, I got out because we're kind of getting to that 53.70. Said, Adara, what are you waiting for? Just leave. Just say goodbye. Take your 50 pennies and run. That's the type of scalping you need to be doing more of. There was like this IWM trade today is going to have me saying grr. I can't even see it now. But here, basically, we got below that I kept talking about I want to see us break below 222s. So then why did I knock it out when we broke below 222s? Bless you to whomever had a sneeze there, whoever snoozed. Yeah, you really, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I want to shout out as well, like, because I have my whole afternoon trading thing I'm working on. I was talking as well, shout out to Jose and Obi yesterday, and I was like, oh, like, I feel like afternoon trading, it's like harder in the midday session. They were like, yeah, I feel like everybody kind of feels like that. So nice to always have this great community. I am still going to work on my afternoon trading because I do make eyebrow raising choices, but that's what we do. You just improve every single day. Sharif.
Yes, absolutely. Well said there, Adara. I want to show this small cap gapper before we go. This is SDST. It's halted to the downside now. Thank you guys for pointing this out to me. Halted at that $24 area, $23.91, topping tail at 28. This thing is a monster. Keep it on watch. I know it's super dangerous, but you can scale into this. You don't have to take a full position right away. Keep your eye on that. Also, I see CETU is halted, just to leave you with a couple of small cap gappers. CETU halted to the downside as well, 817. This one touched almost 10 bucks, $9.95 on this one. I gave you the deets on both of them later. Not later, prior, so you guys already know what the flow, the market cap, et cetera, for all this stuff is. Keep your eyes on these two. They look like they're doing the most right now, CETU and SDST. Adara. I'll see everybody very shortly at the green screen.
Yeah, shout out, thank you so much to Sharif for everything you do. Always so happy to sit here on this here desk next to Sharif, and he always puts together the lesson, so huge shout out to him. I am short Tesla into the end of the day, taking a Tesla short for the road, pun intended. You know me, it usually probably is. So let's see what we do here. Tesla's interesting because I was like, I might only get 20 pennies in this. Initially, I was like down to get at least 40 because I wanted 248.70s. But I wasn't able to get 248.70s. We had the 249.50s, so I ended up getting involved in the short. But I am cognizant of the potential 30s bounce. That being said, as we bounce, we're getting a little bit less oomph in it. So I want to stay in this for now. But I only say that because that 248.30s has weirdly been a level, 248.30s, 248.30s, 248.20s. Something I want to be cognizant of, but right now, I'm going to chill in this trade. But if you like this show, please like and subscribe. If you want to be here every single day with us, you can't be in the chat and part of this awesome community if you are not subscribed. So make sure you do that post-haste. Shout out to Kyle Burdett. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Big smile, Burdett, saying if this selling continues, this would a blow up. Is this what a blow off top looks like looking at weekly chart ES? Let's take a quick look here at the SPY and the weekly before we pass it over to Sharif himself. SPY here on the 5-day chart. Oh, my start's going to close down. I might not be able to look at this for you. I apologize, Kyle. But we're going to see a whole bunch of other charts. Maybe the ES. We'll have to wait and see and find out with Sharif in just a moment there. I'm going to quickly see if I can take a look at this daily chart for this super chat. But either way, you know, okay, here we go. This is trying to load. Yeah, this could be interesting here. We're certainly, I'm zooming in. We're curling for something here on this weekly chart. Yeah, I think if we pass this previous area of support here a couple times, well, this is the IWM. What am I doing? Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, certainly interesting here on the IWM, I guess, coming to a level. SPY getting a little bit interesting here on this weekly chart. We're going to have to wait and see, but just continuing to see higher highs, higher lows. Thank you for that super chat, and we'll have to see you guys tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Sharif at the green screen.
Welcome to the afternoon rundown, the show.